Welcome to the Boxing Source Podcast, where we go over the latest news in boxing and react to all of the fights that happened in the past week. Now, let's go to our host, J.R. Bell. Hey, yo, what's happening, everybody? We should be here. We should be live. We should be good. Hold on. Let's change this up here a little bit. All right, now, what's going on, everybody? We are here checking in for February 22nd, 2026 here for this edition of the Boxing Source Podcast. Shout out to everyone that's listening live here on this particular episode. And for those on the replay, y'all listening in, thanks for supporting the Boxing Source here on this edition of the Boxing Source Podcast. And we got a lot to talk about here. We had a lot of action that happened in the sport of boxing within the past couple of days, and we got a fight card that's going on right now over in Detroit, Michigan. I'll be trying to touch on here in a little bit. But we had a lot that was going on in Las Vegas. Of course, I had a fight card that I went to in Washington, D.C., and then there was also something going on in Hanover, Maryland at Maryland Live. And it was I think there were fights in Atlantic City yesterday. Probably had a few other fight cards in the U.S. And we still had, what was it, Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington over in the UK, man. So that was a overloaded weekend. And I was saying, this was about as busy as a weekend as January 31st, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to, those listening in live here, whether it's through YouTube or Rumble or whatever it is. You got Jesus M in the building. He says that Mario Barrios sold out. I mean, come on, man. Tell me he sold out. He says that, hey, Mario Barrios should remove the nickname El Azteca after what happened last night. And you got Mar the Prince here checking in for the Boxing Source Podcast. But wanted to, I guess, start off with what was going on with what happened there in the main event in Las Vegas there at T-Mobile Arena, the WBC Welterweight Championship on the line. You did have Mario Barrios going into this particular fight as the WBC Welterweight Champion. As y'all have been mentioning over the past couple of weeks here, talk about this fight. Mario Barrios having the WBC Welterweight Championship, but as he had been the WBC Welterweight Champion, the full champion, not the interim champion, but the full champion, he had 2 fights and he had 2 draws. Abel Ramos, they're at the AT&T Stadium in the Dallas, Texas area, and then in July 19th of last year against, Emmanuel Dapi John Pacquiao. Okay, he had a draw against Manny Pacquiao, and everybody pretty much felt like Pacquiao probably should have ended up winning that fight, but there should have been no way that Mario Barrios was supposed to be able to have a draw with Manny Pacquiao. But then he gets this in this fight here against Ryan Garcia. And, of course, Ryan Garcia, we all saw what happened with Ryan Garcia there against Rolando Rolly Romero for, at the time, the WBA interim welterweight championship. Gets knocked down in the second round, didn't really do much at all over the course of the fight. It was one of the most inactive fights that we have seen in any type of world title fight or any main event or anything like that that happened in Times Square. So there was a whole lot of uncertainty going into this bout with both of these fighters, given that they both had some lackluster performances. Speaking of hit term lackluster, shout out to Mario the Prince in reference to his comment for Andy Hiraoka, which I'll get into later here in this podcast. But when it comes to this main event, man, as far as me going into the technicalities of each round or whatever it is, I don't think there really is much to say about that because we all know what the result is. But as a summary, just as a quick summary, or as they say, Cliff Notes, right? This is almost like Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. in that Devin Haney was able to score early knockdown on Brian Norman Jr., and then after that, pretty much had coasted all the way through the rest of that fight in order for him to get the decision win and become the WBO welterweight champion back in November of last year in Riyadh. Here with Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia, just felt hey, you know what? I don't think he can really hurt me. And I know that he ain't faster than me. He ain't nowhere near faster than me. So I'm going to just go in and I'm going to overwhelm him right off the rip. I'm gonna show my speed against him because Mario Barrios, y'all know him. He's flat footed. He could be consistent at times with the jab if he is able to use it right. But as far as like overall speed, he'll be average. Just yeah, this is like we'll say Sunday night analysis or something. You know how they have Monday night quarterbacking in football. With them, trying to analyze what happened on Sunday. Here, we doing it on Sunday for what's happening on Saturday's fights. But with Mario Barrios, he pretty much like does a lot of stuff average. Hand speed average, foot speed average, lateral movement pretty much like non-existent. So Ryan Garcia is like, man, look, I know from an ability standpoint, he can't even keep up with me. So I'm gonna just go ahead and blitz him early and then see what he does. And Mario Barrios just couldn't even keep up with it. Yeah, he got he said he got to get hit in the side of the head or whatever it is with that right hand from Ryan Garcia, but he just said boom, just quick twitch with the hands with Ryan Garcia, and so that overwhelmed Mario Barrios right off the rip. And with him having that knockdown in the first round, pretty much similar to that Devin Haney fight that Ryan Garcia had, right? He like Mario Barrios was already behind in the scorecards. And so it was like, okay, now that I know it's clearly a 10-8, you had to do a catch up in like all of the rounds going from round 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. But the problem is, again, when you have somebody in Ryan Garcia who has the faster hand speed, is, as I say, more athletic, how are you going to be able to get within range or try to be able to break down Ryan Garcia if you don't have that type of ability there within you? You know what I'm saying? So for Mario Barrios, all he could do is just have like I don't even know if you could call it a high guard, but you kind of like see it like this, right? But again, it's something to have like a high guard, but you got to be tight with it so that you don't really give your opponent that much, to at least try to get, right in the middle, right? But again, even with the high guard, you got to be able to move or slip with it, because even with the high guard, sometimes, guess what? You already got the sides open, So they're gonna try to go around that high guard. All they got to do is just wing with the hook, whether it's left hook, right hook, or whatever. So the thing with Mario Barrios is, if you're just gonna stand there and just try to walk down your opponent and not throw punches or not throw jabs or anything like that, that just gives your opponent all the time in the world to try to pick you apart, whether it's upstairs, going around the guard, throwing jabs to the body. And for Ryan Garcia, all he just did was just stay patient, didn't really overreact to what Mario Barrios was doing, and just coasted through most of the fight. I would give props to his father there in the corner, Henry Garcia. He was there and he just kept Ryan Garcia composed, said, hey, listen, Mario Barrios can't really do anything here against you. He can't really do anything here against you. So don't give him that many opportunities to try to have you slipping. So he just felt like, hey, this is something where all Garcia had to do was just say, hey, I'll just take my time and see what's there, see what's open, and then just work off that. But then, in the tail end of the fight, in the second half of the fight, you just seeing like Ryan Garcia again with the speed absolutely overwhelm Mario Barrios. But again, it's like Mario Barrios didn't even do much of anything. Like you didn't see, like even if you know that you're not there from a speed standpoint, at least try to throw something back, because you never know what would happen if you throw something back. So of course, in boxing, sometimes it's about the punch that your opponent doesn't see. So if you're gonna have Ryan Garcia just piece you up with the jab, or just come with the 1-2 combinations, then he could probably get confident. It's one thing to be confident, but it's another thing to be comfortable. And the thing is, sometimes with fighters, they can get comfortable in what they do. And when they get comfortable in what they do, what they don't realize is they lose the awareness that something could come back at them. So the thing about it is with Mario Barrios, you really didn't see that much punches, they're coming right back at him. It was like insane because it's like you got Ryan Garcia that was able to, throw, a total of 539 punches over the course of the 12 rounds. While Mario Barrios there, had what 328 total punches according to CompuBox. So 539 punches for Ryan Garcia and 328 punches there for Mario Barrios. Now, yeah, Garcia landed about 185 to 106, but again, like having that activity there, in comparison to somebody like Mario Barrios, that was just clearly a contrast there on that front. You know what I'm saying? So I think with him having a joint with that first round, having that knockdown, that just said, you know what? Now I know that I could do some things here where Mario Barrios has to be careful about, trying to get too much within range because he knows that from the inside that he can't keep up with me. So all he's going to do is going to be cautious for the rest of the fight, and that's what you basically saw up until like the second half of the fight where you seen Ryan Garcia turned it up a little bit, and then it almost seemed like they were going to stop the fight. And I'll talk about one of the things that happened in the corner of Mario Barrios here in a minute. But I have one esteemed guest here to talk about the fight between Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia. You got my guy, the Boxing Academic, here in the building. What's going on, Boxing Academic?
Hey, what's going on, JR? How you doing tonight, brother?
All good, man. We got a little bit of a snowstorm and stuff, going on in this side of the country or whatever it is, but I'm all good, man. What's happening?
Say it's light work for you. Light work.
Yeah, light work, man. Light work. You feel me?
Yep. Yeah. I heard your synopsis, and piggybacking off of you, most people are probably disappointed in Mario Barrios. Not the fact that he was outmanned, because that was apparent, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's apparent that, like you said, he doesn't do anything extraordinary. You could call a lot of his attributes sort of average, and he's facing someone who does have exceptional speed, has exceptional power, and depending on, certain circumstances, he has super ordinary power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so Mario Barrios gets in the ring with Ryan Garcia, and he gets punched in the mouth or in the temple, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes down. And it's very apparent that the speed difference is just astronomical. And it's also apparent that he doesn't practice defense very well. They don't practice defense. And so
Look like he didn't at all.
at all. And so, when you get down to the trenches where you know that you're losing the fight, you're losing every round. I'm sure he probably lost every round. And then you got to do something. You have the coach who's telling him like, hey, we need to get on the inside. But the thing is, has he really practiced what it takes to get past those landmines and get on the inside? Like, yeah, it's easy to say it, but and Joe Goosen obviously is a good trainer, but in the time of him working with him, you ain't finna change Mario Barrios stripes.
Nah,
So
yeah,
and,
and I'm going to talk about that here in a bit. Go ahead, we'll
his
continue.
stripes from all of the championship fights that he's faced, even with the older Manny Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know you said you're not gonna go through the rounds, but I'm gonna go through my rounds, at least my commentary. Like, we know what's the name won all the rounds, but I'm gonna go through my commentary.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that. Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna say no score because Ryan Garcia won all the rounds. But so I always have a round zero, which is essentially my initial thoughts going into the fight. So for me, this is my comment for round zero. If I am being honest, I have trust issues with both guys. You don't know which Ryan you will get, and Barrio doesn't appear to have the championship gear when facing the top opponents. Round one, knocked down by Ryan. Ryan's punches are fast, but Barrio appears to not be used to reacting when punches are thrown. He just sits there. He There was no defensive reaction. And even if you take an Errol Spence approach of blocking shots on your hands, there was no like how you get tight, how you sort of roll with the punch, or like you
Yeah.
sort of, like you I'm gonna call it rolling with the punch, but you like essentially have your hand on your face and then you turn into the punch sort of to like take something away from it. Round two, Barrios responded well enough to make this a fight if Ryan loses some steam. Ryan seemingly can land anything at will. So in round two, I was like, okay, so he weathered the storm. He might, survive. And if Ryan gets tired, maybe this will be a good fight if Ryan gets tired. Um, Round three, Ryan landing first and last. Round four, Sergio Martinez said it best. Barrios is basic, and he hasn't seen. Say it again.
Sergio Mora.
Sergio Moore, I'm sorry. My bad. And he hasn't seemed to practice reactivity to punches. Round five, Barrio doesn't have any answers for Ryan's speed. Fight will likely get stopped on the stool. So I'm thinking at this point I stopped scoring the fight because I'm just like he's not going to exert himself anymore. And maybe Ryan might land something big, but more than likely it'll be a mercy sort of kill when he just quit on the stool. But Ryan sort of fatigued a little bit, and was just content to win in the rounds or whatever. But yeah, it's quite disappointing, man. It's quite disappointing. You can't take away because getting in the ring, it takes a level of courage and stuff. So you got to give him credit for that. But there's a level of engagement. There's a level of investment that you have to give when it's not going your way. And you gotta give some skin. You gotta put some skin in the game. It might not end well for you. And dare I say it, when Terrence Crawford fought Errol Spence at least tried to put some skin in the game. You was about to say that later? You was gonna say that later?
No. You were hitting at it before when you initially brought up the thing there with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, but like that, at least you saying that definitely nailed it. You definitely did.
And so he at least tried. We all know the outcome. We all know he was overmatched. So a similar situation. Terrence Crawford obviously is more of a dog, so I'm not doing a comparison there. But at least he tried. He tried to win it. He wasn't gonna win. He ended up getting knocked out. But you can only respect Errol Spence because of the effort he put in, like what he tried to give. This, like Barrios at this point, they're gonna use Barrios as a measuring stick against guys that they feel like should be, at a certain level. He gonna be a gatekeeper. That's what that's called, right? A gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna shut up and let you talk. This is kind of disappointing. And last thing, for this fight to end close to 1 a.m., this is what we get.
Hey, listen, man. Again, this is what you have with these big events and all that type of stuff, man. Even with when I was out there for Canelo Crawford. Listen, all right, I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. I'm about 3 weeks away from turning 45 years old. Okay. The more and more I go to these big events, the more and more I'm like, please, y'all gotta hurry up with this stuff, man. Because come on, there ain't no way that y'all should be having these fights starting at 12 a.m. Eastern time. Come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? And there's something worse when it comes to this particular card about it, because Oh man, because yeah, they of course there was something that happened before the fight started that really affected the fight card, which you'll get into later. But to go from what the box academic was talking about, especially like leading into the fight. Okay. As he said, I had it almost like, a 50-50 type of a fight because there was like so many unknowns going into this fight. You know, one with Mario Barrios, of course, because as I was mentioning, he had two draws or two draw results in the two fights that he had holding the WBC welterweight championship. For Ryan Garcia, it was his performance against Rolando Rolly Romero and, him having an extended, well, I would say an extended layoff of sorts there after that fight last May. And, he was basically, getting back into, gear there with his father, there, Henry Garcia, as his lead trainer. Okay. Remember the previous fight he had there, Coach Derek James, right? So I didn't know like how Ryan would approach this particular fight going into it. For Mario Barrios, I had like known a little bit more because one, I had talked with, who was a trainer there for Mario Barrios for some time there, in Coach Bob Santos. But Bob Santos, has still, been being involved with Mario Barrios as like a manager of sorts. So, with Coach Bob Santos, he was saying like, hey, I was there, like, working as the head trainer there for Mario Barrios in these couple of fights that he had. The first one that he had there against Abel Ramos, he had a good start. We was pumping the jab, being good, following up with that, was able to, score, knock down early. And then in the back half of the fight, he faded and then had to, really work in order for that fight to be a draw. And then in the second bout against Manny Pacquiao, like he shows like he has the youth there against Manny Pacquiao in the first few rounds, and then for some reason just goes absolutely inactive for like the next 6 or 7. And then if it wasn't for the last 3 rounds, it would have been Manny Pacquiao with the win there. So you're looking at this and you're saying like, okay, he's a world champion, but as they say sometimes in boxing, there are champions and there are belt holders. Well, it looked like Mario Barrios was being viewed as a belt holder. And it just was a matter of time for someone to step in, face Mario Barrios, and beat Mario Barrios and take that world championship. It was just this time it was going to be Ryan Garcia to step in. And for Ryan Garcia to just, overwhelm him there in the first round and then coast, as I said, from round 2 to round 12, where Mario Barrios didn't even try, like that was just not a good look at all. And if you're going to have someone with a Hall of Fame pedigree like Joe Goosen has, an extended history there of being a trainer, and he's telling you, what you can do, but as academics are talking about, it's one thing to tell somebody what to do. It's another thing for them to actually perform it. And listen, if they weren't able to do it in camp, they're not going to be able to do it in the ring. I'm going to run that by y'all again. If they're not able to do it in camp, they're not going to be able to do it in the ring. And remember, like the week leading into fight week, the word was that their approach for Ryan Garcia was for Mario Barrios to be aggressive, be the guy on the front foot, pressure Ryan Garcia, and get him to get smothered up. So in order for him to do that, Mario Barrios had to be the one very active with the jab, pumping the jab, or at least putting it out there and walking forward with it. You didn't see that at all. You didn't see that at all in this fight. Okay. You didn't see that early, here. And again, once you have someone that's much faster than you and you kind of like see that right off the rip, then it's almost like Mario Barrios checked out early on that.
Could I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Did you see Mario Barrios's face at the end of the fight when Joe Goosen, when they asked him what happened? Did you see how he was looking? It was either a look of like he was mad, but he couldn't really be mad. He was like I don't think he gonna hire him anymore because it was looking like he was like, why is he talking about me type of thing. But the thing about what you said, the game plan of pressuring Ryan Garcia, that was very likely the right game plan. Joe Goosen said, when you press Ryan, Ryan ain't, being able to throw all these shots and blah, blah, blah. And essentially he shell up. Like that is probably true. But if you didn't practice it like you said, you won't be able to do it. And if you can't do it, what are we talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? You're gonna look absolutely stuck. And that's the thing about it. Mario Barrios was stuck. And the thing, at least for me, Mario Barrios, for what he does or what he's used to, right, wasn't going to be a good matchup for Ryan Garcia anyway. Because he's not one that can either be, faster with his hands or faster with his feet or move laterally against someone like a Ryan Garcia. You have to be someone almost like a Devin Haney level. When Devin Haney was fighting from a distance and from mid-range, Ryan Garcia really didn't have much of an answer for that. But also, Devin Haney had enough speed to where he could, really utilize the jab and good timely movement there, against Ryan Garcia in a number of those rounds. Mario Barrios doesn't have those abilities. So you're not going to, I guess, teach him something new if it's completely different than what his approach is and what he's been doing for pretty much his whole entire career. Now, of course, we noted that, he was basically in camp with Joe Goosen since early December. But the word is he still had to take a lot of time for him to adjust to the mannerisms of Joe Goosen and what he does in his camp, right? So, like for example, it would be if you had what it would be like having Freddie Roach, for some time and then going to like a Derrick James or something like that, or Abel Sanchez. If they're like something where they have completely different styles, it's going to take you a while for you to properly adjust to it. You know what I mean? So going from Coach Bob Santos to Coach Joe Goosen for Mario Barrios, that's, a little bit of work. And also, Mario Barrios had other coaches before, Bob Santos too. So it's like you have, especially in a fight of this magnitude, you have to be able to know that if you're going to change coaches or change trainers, that it has to be at least close to or around what you've been doing, because you want to make sure that you're comfortable in how you fight against an opponent there that with that, much magnitude. You know what I'm saying? So, I know that, Coach Bob, made that decision. I like to know what he would, say after this particular fight. But, the approach by Joe Goosen, or as far as the strategy that they had, it might be something there for Ryan Garcia, but this is Mario Barrios that you're trying to, do it with Ryan Garcia. So that's the thing, man. Shout out to, those in the live chat. Z Pacino in the building, Champ Ross in the building. He says, Goosen training Barrios with that jean jacket on might be an issue. Come on, champ. Come on, chill. Hey, like my guy Shannon the Cannon Briggs says, chill, champ, chill. Chill, champ. Chill, champ. Oh man. So you got Ryan Garcia that's able to have that performance there. And one of the things, as I mentioned, earlier, was the composure from Henry Garcia, his father there. One of the topics that's been around in the sport of boxing, especially over these past 6, 8, 12 months, is a number of these fighters that have been in the spotlight and have had their fathers as head trainers. Okay. Now, I've talked about the thing there with Devin Miles Haney. We know who his head trainer is. He defeated Brian Norman Jr., and you know who his trainer was. Key word is was for that fight. So now you got Ryan Garcia here, and he's had his camp and he had his camp there with his father, there, Henry Garcia, who had been, in his corner for, the beginning of his career until he, moved on and had other trainers, along the way, right? So with him getting back with his father, looked like a great performance or a great thing there for Ryan Garcia, and for him to, win the WBC welterweight championship. And again, that is the first world championship that Ryan Garcia has. As high as a profile as he's had, as much as he's been able to get as far as like big fights or high profile spotlights and everything like that, this is his first world championship here. You know what I'm saying? So props to Henry Garcia on that front. But we got a number of things here that we still got to talk about, at least after the fight. But I want to get an assessment from another guest here to join in on the Boxing Source podcast. My guy Never Fold Sports is in the building. Never Fold, what did you think about this whole thing with Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, man?
Yo, Boxing Source, what's good with you, buddy?
Yo, what's happening?
My thoughts about the fight, man. First thing first, you know me, I don't cap, so I had it a pick'em fight, but I picked.
You get it?
Yeah, I picked against Barrios. I did not trust him. You feel me? Last fights, he got gifted draws. Pacquiao beat him. They gifted him a draw before that. He lost. So he been doing bad. And then really while I went against him, that's one of the reasons. Plus, Buddy on them steroids, bro. Know what I'm saying? He juiced up. So it's like, why would I bet bread on Barrios with everything I just said? You feel me? So
Why do you think he juiced up?
Why do I think he's juiced up?
Yeah.
When you was watching Rolly, did you see all the him being hyped up, him talking crazy? Did you see little PED spots on his stomach? Did you see him looking brolic as he looking now? Where was all that at? Because he supposed to show that in Times Square. Know what I'm saying? He came out. He was not fighting like a fighter. He quit. He gave up in the fight. So all of a sudden now, he rode into VADA, waited mad long to sign up to VADA. Then they paused it and then re-enrolled. So you don't think he signed out of VADA to juice up to cycle off into to microdose? Like, come on, bro. You can tell when somebody's on PEDs. They all hyped up, talking crazy. They lips is crusty. All type of little stuff that y'all gotta pay attention to, bro. Like, what type
But
of
you was
guy
talking
that's
about Ryan Garcia, correct?
Yeah, that's Asta Ryan.
Okay.
Quit Sia.
Okay.
He's a quitter.
Yeah.
Like, all of
My
a
bad.
sudden now, this guy got handed a belt. They handed him that belt. Barrios ain't no champion. He got elevated. It's not like he was going out. Like, I'm not talking bad about him. Like when it comes to keep going, like, he's in that conversation. So he not no quitter. So what we seen from last night, Buddy juiced up. And then why he not talking about fighting Rolly? Rolly spanked him. Why he not talking about the rematch? Okay then, bro. Okay, he want to talk about everybody else.
Well, not even everybody else, but I'll get into that though. Keep cooking.
Nah, so it's like I'm seeing a lot of people talking about this and that. If we being truthfully honest, the speed, that's what God gifted him. So that's in his DNA, that's in his blood. You can't take that away from him. In the hook, other than that, he don't got nothing. You seen him did a 360 in the fight? Come on, bro. He twirling in the fight like this not a dance battle or none of that, bro. So it's like people wasn't even butting on Buddy. All of a sudden now they out the cut now. This and that. Show me the proof. Show me a betting slip. Don't be talking this and that. What was all this after the Rolly fight? We seen Buddy crying in the car. He gonna cry in the car. That's what we
crying
seen.
In the car. Bro. Was crying in the car after that Rolly fight. And we, like I was mentioning, you ain't had none of this energy there for the Rolly fight. Having the lowest punch output in a world title fight or interim world title fight that you've seen, out there, and then you turn around and then you have this going on, and of course me talking with the folks there within the World Boxing Council is one thing, but another thing is, as you were mentioning there, never fold with Vada, right? Um, Once again, VADA is the Voluntary
Yeah. Hmm.
Anti-Doping Association.
You gotta
Keyword
say that.
voluntary.
Hey, you gotta say that again, bro. Maybe they didn't heard you the first time.
Keyword voluntary. Again, Voluntary Anti-Doping Association. So that whole thing with this clean boxing program and all that type of stuff, I mean, that's whatever. But if y'all even go to the whole thing with VADA, right, like in the website or whatever it is, again, they supposed to have the fighters that are participating in VADA. Now, as I'm kind of like seeing here, it didn't look like they have like really updated their site, man, in almost like 6-7 months. Because the last two fighters I see on there is Richard Hitchens and George Kambosos Jr. for their fight. Or before that, Dave Allen versus Johnny Fisher. I haven't seen anything for any of these fights this year. Not when they're supposed to start entering VADA testing, and then once they have their fight in they complete the VADA testing after the fight. We haven't even seen none of that. You feel me? So
You know,
man,
what's
it's,
crazy?
it's insane.
What you saying, right? So, Victor Conti was a crook. Know what I'm saying? But when it came to um answering questions, whether he was lying or not, keeping people updated with the drug cheating stuff, he was doing a good job at that. Since he no longer here, we ain't been hearing no updates about when they checked in, when they checked out. It's just been whenever that type of stuff comes on your feed, right? So you said two people on their site, they only put up two people for the updates for the drug test and whatever the case may be. I'm seeing people celebrating, bro. Buddy's still not in the clear. We haven't heard from Vada yet. I'm seeing Clarissa Shields talking about Vada, Shakur talking about Vada or drug testing. Devin Haney, where's Vada at? Cause last time I forgot how long they took to let us know about the results. So it's like, yo, we gotta hear from Vada first.
Well, it looks like they I don't know about their website. Hey, whoever the webmaster is or whatnot, they tripping. They slipping. Because it looks like they just doing stuff on Twitter, right? Because I'm looking at their Twitter page and they got this stuff for, like, for example, the Abbas Barao and Xander Zayas fight, or like Josh Kelly versus Bakhmut Zaliev. They're supposed to be testing everything like that, but you don't see it on their website, but you see it on their Twitter/X page or whatever it is. So I
Very
want to
unprofessional.
see if they have this thing here, because they did post that they were at the Barrios versus Garcia fight card. So I'm going to see how they follow up with that. But I want to add in another guest here to join in for the boxing talk. I got the topic here in the building here to talk about what's going down with Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia, man. So we got the topic in here to chop it up as well, man. So yeah, what's going on, man?
Your mic is muted.
Yeah, you trying to get to the mic. Yeah, you got it. What up?
Hello,
What's good?
fellas, what's happening?
Man, we still talking about this Barrios versus Garcia, man. Like what did you think about the fight?
I thought Ryan looked great actually. I had a lot of questions coming into it for Ryan, of course, from what I hear. Um, Hold on one second. From what I hear, overall, Ryan's a real fighter. You know what I'm saying? I know he came up a little quicker through the social media and everything, but if you listen to like interviews of the other guys like Shakur's, Devins, and guys that came through the amateurs in his
Yeah,
class,
yeah.
they'll say, nah, he was putting this thing down. So Ryan is a real guy. I do think he got a lot of the fame too quick as a young fighter. You know what I'm saying? He can fight, but you still gotta. I don't care who you are, bro. When you going from a 17-year-old kid to becoming a grown man, talent is everything, but you still gotta develop, bro. Because it could take one night, it could take one punch, it could take you getting paired up with a guy from Nicaragua who got a chin. Where you used to knocking everybody out and everybody you touch them, they start you know, okay, if I
Yeah.
land 12 of these, they gonna break. He might get hit and be like, all right, we fighting now. You know what I'm saying? That might turn him up. So what I'm saying is development of fighters. Ryan showed me yesterday that if he's focused, he could be a good fighter. He showed me more than just his left hook, which everybody sticks on. He showed me he still got lapses. Every fighter got lapses. But he still looked good. Barrios is a good B-side guy, I'm gonna say. You know, he got into the position. And how long has Santos been his manager? Because a lot of that could be that too.
Years, man. It's been a good few years.
So a lot of that could be that where good management, good movement. You know what I mean? Just like how top rank move they guys and they get them belts and they get them this and they move
Yeah.
them here. Same thing with management. If you don't have a promoter doing it, a manager's the next closest thing to something like that where they can position you and help you get lined up with opportunities. And Barrios happened to, fall in line with certain opportunities and he just capitalized off of them. Once he fought Tank and showed a decent, all you got to do with Tank is just not get knocked out in the first 7 rounds, be competitive the first 7 rounds, and you're gonna be able to get at least 3, 4 fights. I'm gonna say solid after that, just off of being a dude that fought Tank. You're gonna be able to get 4 bags after that, guaranteed. You know what I mean? And Barrios falls in that line where he's not necessarily like a super go-getter, but you can dance around with him, and he fought Tank. Do we know anybody else that he had fought prior to that? Maybe not really. Your casual fan wouldn't know. They'll have to probably look it up, but he fought Tank though. You know what I mean? So that's what make him that. But Ryan overall, I gotta give Ryan his credit. I want to make sure I give fighters their credit and the victories and not just knock them. Ryan looked real good, sharp, dominant, kept his foot on the gas the entire fight. He looked more chill, more composed, mentally more developed in there, more focused, basically what it is, less distractions, more straight line vision all the way through camp on strictly his opponent and seeing the fight break through. You know what I mean? So he was more reactionary in there. And Barrios, like I said, he's not a go-getter. Barrios is a guy, if you
So
want, if you fight to his level, then you know what I mean. But if you show that you better, if you better and you show that you better, you'll see the difference, type of thing.
let me ask you this: so you say Barrios is not a go-getter? The Oscar Ryan is what? Because we've seen him had guys hurt, but when they're at his level or better, he can't get rid of them. He should have got a KO last night.
Who that, Ryan?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but then I'm gonna say this too, though. Like I said, Ryan's a good fighter. So Ryan's fighting, win or loss, good fighters. If we were to look at Ryan's like 5, 6 fights, we could probably say we actually know these guys. You know what I'm saying? These guys are actually belt holders. These guys are actually, so not every fight of Ryan is gonna be just him knocking guys out. 'Cause I think he fought what? Rolly last, or was it Rolly last? Maybe
Yeah,
Rolly, Tank,
When it comes to
Devin.
competition, he's not knocking shit out. Just like how they hyping him up. Oh, he's this star on social media. Like, come on, bro. Like,
But no, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
yeah, but you trying to give him passes for facing people from his generation. That should already be the mandatory in the sport. It's a competitive sport.
Well, no. Well, that's where I disagree with you.
All right, let's say this is MMA and they getting paid less money. You think Oscar Ryan would be fighting these top tier guys? Remove all this amount of money with it. Because this guy's not.
Even with that, never fold. Like MMA, they don't. Like they
Yeah,
don't have the whole thing with the best fight the best. They don't.
that's not what I'm saying. That's why I mentioned the money thing, because this guy is going towards people with the most money, the Devin Haney's. Why he ain't been calling out for Shakur when Shakur wasn't as popular as he is today? A competitor ain't looking at, oh, this and that. Just like Shakur ain't trying to fight Gary Antuanne Russell. Why is that?
All right, I'm gonna say this. Let me answer. Let me. I hear what you're saying, but this the reality of it, right? First of all, he fought Tank,
Tank
so he
is
not
that when
scared.
it comes
He
to
not. Oh,
lore,
listen. Oh,
because
feel me
of
though.
money. Because of
Oh,
money.
feel me though. Feel me though. He not scared to fight none of these guys for money or not. If I fought the biggest, most scariest guy in the sport, me fighting any of these other guys is really not like, I ain't gonna say going backwards, but they ain't really touching what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm the numbers. I'm the one that's doing the numbers. These guys just chatting. You know what I'm saying? I'm the guy. So they ain't dictating nothing, first of all. That's what it is. And if I choose to fight them, hey, let's get it on. And like I said, he's fought. If you look at his resume, is one of the top in boxing. He's competing, win or
So
loss. And the
we're
guys he's
giving
fighting are quality
we're
guys. They're
we're
not just getting knocked out.
so why is Ernie Shavers not considered one of the best of all time? Because this guy was fighting dogs. Because in your logic, you just throwing people
Yeah,
up because you going in there fighting great fighters, but you're not winning nothing. So
Sean
it's
here's
like,
Porter.
the
Sean
issue.
Porter.
Here's the
Sean
issue.
Porter.
yep, that's
Here's
another
the
one
issue.
too.
Here's the issue. People are comparing what happened in the 60s, 70s, and 80s to today. That can't work. It can't.
No, I'm not comparing the two. I'm
Right,
comparing.
but here's the
Look
thing.
at the
But here's
fighters
but
that.
never
Go
fold.
ahead.
Hold on, never fold. The thing is that there are a number of people that bring up examples of fighters in specific eras that have had these type of fights, right? Against a like you say, right? You can have a Ken Norton, a Ron Lyle, or Ernie Shavers, like guys that weren't necessarily George Foreman, Joe Frazier, or Muhammad Ali, but some of them have had like wins against those guys, but they were able to face them. The problem is with today is that these fighters ain't fighting every 4 months. They're fighting 6, 8, 12 months, and they're not getting these fights against as folks say today, tune-ups, because everything has to be televised, right? So I'm not gonna expect like a Tank Davis or a Ryan Garcia or a Devin Haney to face someone that might be, if they're a world champion, right? They're facing a guy that's not within the top 10 of their particular rankings, one. And then two, what you're not going to see here nowadays is fighters that are world champions that don't have fights as a world champion against somebody that's like ranked, what, freaking 132 in the division. We're not having that anymore. So my thing is that people gotta differentiate between fights that could be high profile or defending the world championship or having these one-offs, because we're not having one-offs in boxing anymore. That's completely dead. That's completely dead. So my thing is that it's one of the biggest criticisms of the sport of boxing is that we don't have those type of fights anymore. But at the same time, when they do fight, it ends up being somewhat of a mismatch because it's on some type of television, right? Like if you have somebody that's like in the odds as far as like 10-1 or 16-1 against an opponent and it ends up being the main event of a fight card, then yeah, fight fans ain't going to be interested in that because they pretty much know the result. But if you have something like that that's off TV, then okay, that wouldn't be a problem. Have the high profile fights on TV, but if you want to have one offs, then just go ahead and do that. But don't have everything on TV and don't be requesting a whole bunch of money for these mismatches. That's been one of the main problems in the sport. You know what I mean? But also this thing here with Ryan Garcia though. And you talk about, him calling out Shakur Stevenson and all that type of stuff. That part bothered me because one, what in the world? You won the WBC welterweight championship. You're supposed to be going after guys within your own division. The first person that he should have named was Devin Miles Haney.
Hey, so Boxing Force, not to interrupt you, right? I'm just gonna say this thing for like 15 seconds, right? So you're proving my point that this guy is chasing money, he's not chasing legacy fights, as far as like a get back, a rematch.
He's not. He's approaching it like a prize fighter. It's almost like, when we were talking about Shakur Stevenson, after him defeating Teofimo Lopez, right? You beat Teofimo Lopez, you pretty much shut him out. Teofimo Lopez was viewed as the top-rated fighter at 140 pounds. You get that win, you become the WBO Ring Magazine champion at 140 pounds, and who do you call out? Conor Benn. Like, Conor Benn shouldn't even be within your radar. It shouldn't even be within your thought process. You had a few other champions that were out there in your division. You just won the world championship. You should at least try to prove yourself as the best in your division if you're going to be that guy. If you're going to be, viewed as the number 3 pound for pound fighter or number 4 pound for pound or whatever I have him in the Boxing Source pound for pound rankings, at least you should be going after like a Dalton Smith, a Gary Antuanne Russell.
But look though, right?
So I just don't understand what's going on with the number of these fighters that are like at the highest level of popularity right here. Is that they approach it like, oh, well, if y'all feel like y'all can't pay me this amount of money, I don't care who the opponent is. I ain't going to do it.
But you gotta look though, bro. Like I say, Ryan has fought some good fights. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, he's still a development fighter where him and Tank was when boxing was at that era, that new era turning of young guys coming up, when they were calling them the Four Kings. Who it was on that list? Haney, Garcia. I can't think of who else it was.
Andy
It was a
Garcia,
couple guys.
and then what? Are you going to put Shakur in there?
Or was it T.O. or one of them? It was some of them guys, but it was like a hot little list of guys that was coming out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but look though,
Yeah,
they was
Theo
building,
sure.
they was building and all of that, right? Ryan was the first one to jump out there basically and hop off the porch and fight Tank. That's when everybody was just like this, that, chit chatting, Twitter typing. You know what I'm saying? The first person to drop him and get out there was Ryan. He fought Tank. So forget what the fans talking about. The business is the real side now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the fans and the media is cool for the talk shows and the podcast, but we're talking about real dough. Astronomical numbers over here. I just fought Javante Davis for
So the belt
8 figures.
didn't matter, right? The belt, that fight wasn't even for a belt. It was like out of catch.
It was actually. It was for.
So legacy don't mean nothing. There's no competitive nature. It's just the bat.
But
That's
even if
literally
it wasn't,
what this
even if it
topic
wasn't
is.
for a belt, it still was relevant. I agree with his point that
he's a prize fighter at that point. You get what I'm saying? The money I made, I'm a prize fighter now. I'm not these young contenders, these young guys. I'm a prize fighter now. I've made 8 figures.
Yeah, that
These
same
guys
logic.
are fighting for $500,000 still.
That same logic is the reason why this
I
guy
got 2 Ferraris.
It took him 10 years to get gifted a belt.
Yeah, I can't tell me what to do.
Him a belt, right? That same logic. He couldn't even win a belt by being a competitor. He needed his daddy and his peoples to give him a silver spoon to earn a belt. Versus a fighter that's a C minus fighter on a good day. He just Barrios.
He fought Oscar Durate too, though, and knocked him out. Boxing Source.
Yeah,
we gotta talk about real boxing.
But also though, but this is to but this is to Neverfold's point when it comes to Ryan Garcia, and this is going into this bout, right? You're giving Ryan Garcia an opportunity to win a world title after being what? 1 win, 2 losses, and 1 no contest in his last 4 fights.
Don't forget the drug cheating.
That's what I mean with the no contest.
But he's held WBC belts before, though, right?
I think
Walmart
y'all
belts.
conflating points. Y'all are
Walmart
conflating
belts.
points.
The belts that he
Y'all,
pick up in his
Hold up.
homie garage.
Hold up. Boxing Academy, what you got?
y'all are conflating points because both of y'all are right in your points, but mixing the 2 points isn't accurate. Meaning that he's right in that Ryan was one of the first ones of this new era who popped it off when we were asking for them to fight. So in that respect, yeah, you got to give Ryan credit because he took that challenge, whether it was for a belt, whether or not he still, popped it off for these guys. At the same time, I get what you're saying in that when it comes down to it, if Ryan ain't popping some in his arm, he looks quite average. And unless he
Honestly,
faces
I don't even know what the debate was at. Honestly, I was
okay
saying Ryan fought good the night of
tonight,
Barrios' fight.
yeah,
I really don't know what the 10 minutes of
Nah, so bro, what I'm saying
banner was.
is this, right? You giving this guy credit for fighting a C minus fighter that did not even come to fight. He was just
That's
there
who went in
to
front
not
of
get
him,
knocked
bro.
out, right? So you acting like he went out there, he fought the best of the best in that division, right? Because Barrios is just a guy that's just having a passing grade. He just always gonna come with a C. That's it. He's not going above and beyond. He's not switching it up. Then his corner is trash. Joe, whatever, Gooseman, whatever. He's garbage. He ain't tell that man nothing in the corner. Oh, pressure. Like he ain't tell him nothing. Know what I'm saying?
Hey
So it's like
man,
you
he
giving
could have
him
went out there and looked bad too, though. So, and then we would have been having another conversation.
he could have went out there and looked bad, but that corner, we also got to bring that into the conversation because a fighter could be bad, but it takes the corner to fix things, to help him seeing different things that he not seeing in the fight, and he ain't have that. So it's like
it
all
it,
this
it
and
was
that
nothing
giving.
It was nothing Joe Goosen could have did to help
Yeah,
Mario
There's
Barrios win
always
that
a
fight.
it
solution
was
to a
nothing.
problem. I
There was
don't care
nothing.
what y'all talking about.
There was nothing.
Every solution, every problem has a solution, and a solution cannot exist without a problem. So it's like a coach is there to adapt and adjust, come up with different game plans on the fly, and
So
these
hold
type
on,
of
wait, is
different
this
games.
Ryan fault or
No,
Barrios'
I'm not.
team
No,
fault?
I'm not. That's not.
Who
That's
hold on, who's at fault here? Let's figure out what we trying to
no.
start an
So
argument
I,
about, so I
I'm
can try to
I'm
debate
talking
on
about
here.
what
Barrios
you're.
is who he
What's the
is.
topic?
Right.
Barrio
So
is who
so
he is. He can't change his stripes.
okay.
Okay,
So
hold on, wait. What are we debating right now?
Hold on. So what Neverfold is saying in reference to Mario Barrios and Joe Goosen is that Joe Goosen should
Okay,
have been able to look at what's going on and make the proper adjustments for Mario Barrios to at least try to change things up or change the momentum during the course of the fight.
100% agree. That's what a
Okay.
corner's job is. So unquestionably, that's what he's there for as a
Okay, that's
cornerman
what his job
Joe
is.
and head
Joe
trainer. Matter of
Goosen.
fact, not just
But
cornerman,
again, but
head
again,
trainer.
but again,
Talk about what Joe Goosen said to him though, with the instructions that he gave that he didn't do.
all he was
I
telling
mean,
them move
I
forward,
think
go press him.
hold
Like
on,
that's
topic.
it.
Go ahead, Neverfold.
No, I said what I said. That it was quick. Like he wasn't telling them nothing. Go forward. Just like the Tio female senior stuff. Yo, where's your power, bro? Go forward. Hit him. That's literally what he did. Just his stuff wasn't funny. That's it.
It is different than what Teofimo Senior did, and the reason why is because to me the game plan to disrupt Garcia is to press forward because when you do press forward, he gets stuck. He don't throw punches, and so Goosen was telling him, "Hey, step to him, get on the inside, throw punches, let stuff go." And that probably was the avenue. That was the solution for him to win. The problem is, Barrios does not have the tools to get past all the landmines to get on the inside, and
So
or he don't have a temperament to be that person to like let his hands go like a arrows fence or something like that. So the plan was the right plan, but the person to implement it was the wrong person to be able to implement it. And Joe Goosen wasn't gonna change him in 3 months, 4 months, 2 months.
And
so
that's it right there. That's it right there. That's the best way you can sum that up.
so
A
wait.
new trainer, new guy, short time frame, big fight. You can't teach an old dog new tricks that quick.
So
Okay, it's not gonna happen.
tell this guy to go forward. Do not move his head. His head is on the center line. Don't tell him to double jab, pre-slips. Like, bro, pay attention to the older coaches, homie. Like, they
But that
telling the
don't
fighters
mean
exactly how
Yeah.
to get there, when to do this. When this dude was just telling them, yo, move your feet. That's it. Go forward. That's it.
Nah,
That's coaching.
never fold. I'm here to tell you, this stuff had been implemented or told to Mario Barrios since they made the change.
So how come we was
Hold on,
not
hold on.
hearing?
I'm gonna say this again. It's one thing to tell somebody something. It's a completely different thing for them to register it.
I do not remember me hearing Joe Goosen telling them to do pre-slip to get his head off the center line. Find me a clip,
No,
please. I didn't hear none of that.
never fold. What you're seeing is what he's
boxing is a hard sport, man. Shout
what you're
out to any
seeing is
fighter that fight.
what he's saying
It's
in the
hard
gym.
out here.
What you're not seeing is what's going on in the gym and actually doing everything step by step by step by step, so that once he tells him something in the corner, Mario Barrios should already know the specifics of what to do. He should.
So basically, what you
So
saying is this guy only had one game plan. He didn't have multiple game plans, and he don't know how to adjust on the fly as a coach, right? That's basically what I'm hearing.
no, what I'm telling you is that he can have multiple game plans, but it's a whole nother thing for a fighter to actually execute them.
Man, Joe
And let's
Goosen
say he did.
Yeah.
is a trash coach, and you guys
Hey,
Let's
giving
say
him
well,
passes be
hold
due
on,
to
hold
his
on.
history. That's it.
Hold on,
let's
Neverfold. Hold
He's
on,
not a good
Neverfold.
coach.
You're talking about a guy that's a Hall of Fame coach that's coached multiple world champions. Now
Yeah,
you could say that his time maybe has
yeah,
passed,
it's up. It's up.
then it could be up.
That's what
You
I'm
know,
saying, basically.
so
hey,
time is up. His time is up. But Mario Barrios, come on, y'all. Like we gotta at least I gotta come to this realization. A lot of people have come to this realization, man. And I said it here at the beginning of the podcast. I'm gonna say it again. It's a difference between a world champion and a belt holder. And what we've seen here over the last 3 fights against Abel Ramos, against Manny Pacquiao,
He's a
and against
basic
Ryan
fighter.
Garcia,
He's
he's a
basic.
belt holder.
He's just a C minus fighter that's just doing everything on a passing grade. That's it. He's not going above and beyond. But for me, if he would have had a better coach, a head trainer, he would have did better. That's what
so
I got.
could I ask you a question?
Go
Well, I
ahead.
want to make a statement. Let's say he only had one game plan. The reason why I think what he was telling Barrios was the right thing is because he has coached Ryan Garcia for X number of fights. So he knows Ryan's tendencies. He done been in camp with Ryan 3, 4, 5 times. So him telling him like what affects him, I'm almost positive his one game plan he gave him was very likely the right game plan, which I think that was the right game plan because we see outside of the hooks that Devin Haney got hit with when Devin Haney was pressing him, those were the rounds that he won. And then you had the other rounds where he just hit him and then hurt him and stuff, but neither here nor there. Like I think it was the right game plan. Like sure, maybe saying other stuff and how to do it, you got to look at the audience. I mean, you got to look at the fighter. Like he just don't have the tools to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how I would say like Mario Barrios just isn't the guy to do it. For Ryan Garcia, him winning the WBC welterweight championship, as I said, there should be only one route for him next, and that's a rematch with Devin Miles Haney. Devin Miles Haney, as I say, made the post on social media that says, "Hey, he wants that rematch. He wants that rematch," and I felt like that's probably the most lucrative fight that's out there in the welterweight division at this point. There shouldn't be any mention of Ryan Garcia calling out no Shakur Stevenson while Stevenson was commenting here and talking about this there all over the course of the whole little telecast. I'm like, I don't know what it was. I don't know what's going on, but Ryan Garcia should not be even mentioning no Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson should be talking about fights at 140 pounds right now. At least for me.
So boxing source. So you said that's the fight that you want to see. That's the fight that needs to happen. How is this fight gonna happen if this guy don't enroll into VADA for 365 days? If he's not enrolled in VADA for that yearly program, it'll be dumb for Devin Haney to fight him. He's gonna be microdosing and cycling off like he did in this fight, checking out of VADA and rolling out and coming back in months after. He took like from they said from June to December or something like that. So it's like if it's not at least 6 months, that fight ain't gonna happen. I don't see it happening unless Devin Haney want to go out the same way he went out the first time, doing some dumb stuff and taking 3 pounds and them being careless. I don't see that happening. So
we shall see. Again, I have to follow. Well, I don't even have to follow VADA on social media, but like I said, they ain't really update the website. They just putting the updates on social media as far as like who's testing and who was able to go through the VADA testing and who passed and all that type of stuff. But hey, if Devin Haney wants to go through it again, that's on him. All right, now we got to move forward. We had like a co-feature bout. That was for the WBA super lightweight title, Antuanne Russell versus Andy Hiraoka. Okay. Mandatory defense of the WBA title. A fight that, finally happened, for both guys. It was supposed to happen in November. We know about the story there with Andy Hiraoka. Only got to Las Vegas within like a couple of days before the fight. Was able to, get himself prepared for this match against Antuanne Russell. And 12 rounds, it was a good scrap. I think it was more of like a tale of, two halves, so to speak. But, the thing is, the key for me was layoff for both fighters. It's one thing for, like, I don't like it when a world champion has to wait until like 9 months later to have a defense of a world title or anything like that. With Antuanne Russell winning the WBA title on March 1st of last year, at the Barclays Center, and here we are, it's February 22nd. That's almost a full year since he's had the defense of that WBA title, and you're going up against Andy Hiraoka, who was able to have that position as a WBA mandatory, but his last bout was in 2024 against Ismael Barroso. So he's gone, over a year without being able to step in the ring. So for me, you kind of like seeing the lack of sharpness from both fighters there over the course of this fight. And I'll get to that with Hiraoka here, because part of him getting back into the fight in the second half was, going to the body of Antuanne Russell. But at the same time of doing that and kind of like dedicating to the body of Antuanne Russell, a number of those punches were landing within that belt line or around the belt line and things like that. And so you kind of like seeing there with the referee warning them, over the course of like, 7th and 8th round. And then by the 10th round, when he did like hit Antuanne with the low blow and got the point taken away, that was, pretty much, well, it could have ended up being the difference in the fight. Now the scorecards didn't kind of like reflect that. But, you still had it as a very close, pretty competitive fight. But you kind of like seeing the, offensive or defensive deficiencies out of both fighters, there over the course of this matchup. Like for me, with Antuanne Russell, especially early in the bout, when he was able to be in close quarters and he almost like had like a tie-up, but he had hands free, a lot of the times after they separated themselves, he was able to crack Hiraoka either with a left hook or a right hook. Just make sure that he sent a message, while they were, separated and everything like that, because it wasn't like, they were holding, they had a free hand. So you didn't have to have the referee like, forced to break it up or anything like that. So once he did that, he was like, all right, I'm gonna, send a message to you once you, separate from me. So you did have that. Now for Andy Hiraoka, again, with this lack of activity, he's there as a taller fighter. You've seen him kind of, have his lead hand pawed out sometimes, but not like throw the jab out. So you're not gonna be able to at least get some type of points in, or try to land a jab on Gary Antuanne Russell before Antuanne Russell is able to get within range. So I felt like it was Antuanne that had the, more activity early in the fight, and then was able to, kind of like weather the storm, so to speak, there in the second half of the fight for him to get the win there. Now I'm gonna flip it around here as far as like reaction to it. I'm gonna start with Topic, and then we got Never Fold next, and then we get back Boxing Academic on it. So Topic, what you think about Gary Antuanne Russell and Andy Hiraoka there as the co-feature?
It was a good fight, honestly. It was a tough fight, like you say. I think the first and then two, I'd be wanting to see like the better camera angles, because sometimes you can't really tell what shots are really landing and doing damage. If you got a guy that's a puncher, he could throw a shot, but Quan could have been in the pocket catching it, and it might look like it was more damage than what it was. But I will say, for both fighters, Antuanne, first half of the fight kind of pushed him back a little bit more, kind of looked to set that tone. And when he got inside, he would score, land, touch his body. um, then Hiraoka, probably like around almost midway-ish through the fight, start kind of, I guess, waking up a little bit, start touching him. And Antuanne wasn't responding to like put a lid back on him. You know what I'm saying? He kind of, Hiraoka started touching them, and they're like, oh, okay, he ain't doing nothing back. Start touching him again. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, now it's fine. We ain't supposed to get touched with none of that. Nothing unnecessary. You know what I mean? And I will say that I think there are things that Antuanne could have worked on definitely a lot more in that fight. I don't give him like a A+ for this, I think he do got some room for improvement for this fight. I think I see with him, he flicks his jab, not necessarily to like actually step and land with it. It's more of a like a rangefinder flick. You know what I mean? And he kind of looking for that left hand, or he looking to flick to get in range, to get down to the body. You know what I'm saying? And with that guy, he was a little bit taller, so he had to fight from the outside. He had to either be all the way outside or had to come in. But then when he started coming in, that's when Hiraoka start finding success, start touching them. And Hiroka's a tough fighter. You know what I'm saying? He definitely showed that he can hang, and then he had some decent little movement, and Antuanne was pulling back straight. There was a lot of times where Hiraoka could have landed some dangerous shots on Antuanne. You know what I'm saying? With Antuanne not necessarily like slipping and getting split, he kind of like pulling back, where Hiraoka's just falling short of some of these joints. So I think his brother was right in the corner. You know what I'm saying? Like telling him like, yo, the stuff he was telling him, you gotta pick it up. Like you gotta wake up a little bit. I'm not sure what it was. Like you said, it could have been a layoff. But I still think Antuanne, like I say, boxing stocks, man. And you're only as good as your last performance. Right now, there's room for improvement. If we was to gauge, rightfully so, the guys that's at 140, the belt holders right now, the top names off of their performances right now, like this is the stock market. Shakur's performance right now, we're buying it. We're heavy on the Shakur stock. You know what I'm saying? That's going through the roof right now. Antuanne, I had bought stock, so I'm holding. You know what I'm saying? It did go up a couple points. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't soar through. And then I don't know if it was because of things that Hiraoka was making tough for him, because Hiraoka is a solid fighter,
Mhm.
but there was also things that Antuanne could have done better to like differentiate a true champion from a solid contender. So overall, a great fight both ways. Um, I had it a toss up coming down the line. I needed Antoine to separate. You know what I mean? Because Hiroka start swaying my vision as he start touching Antoine to the body, and he like kind of pushing Twan back. Now I'm looking at the exchanges. I'm looking like, all right, he looked like he the more on the gas one in the exchange. I need Antoine to come back with 2, 3. You know what I'm saying? Like Antoine ones to his two ain't gonna count. I need a couple more of them to get back even on the punch output. But he ended up pulling it out. And then two people got realized. I'm gonna say this last thing. In this, he can win the first 5 rounds straight, right? Off of just being a little bit more active. First 5 rounds. And Hiroka could come back and win round 6, 7, 8. So if he win right 6, 7, and 8, right? He can win 9. But if Antoine take and win them last 2, he's won majority of the rounds, and that's a unanimous decision. So it could look like he was doing a lot because he had a good 4 rounds consecutive. But if he won the first 5, majority, that's all it takes is majority of the rounds to get a unanimous decision. Every fight
Yeah.
is not going to be what we expect it to be because we're not in there. We're not in there getting hit. We didn't have to run 1,000 miles. We don't know if we got an injury in our arm, but we really pushing through because we want this money and we want a title shot. We don't really know if we have this problem. We don't know if we, you know what I'm saying? But we get in there and we fight and we perform and we get through it because that's what fighting is. It's not just pretty fighting, it's fighting in general. So, like I say, back to the drawing boards, good defense. Um, like I say, Shakur right now looking like the top stock for me, Antoine. We there, but some room for improvement. Good, solid work. We got some room to improve. And Hirioka's a tough night for some guys. I think he could beat a lot of the other guys. So
Be
Hirioka's game too. I'll give him his credit. He's a game guy because that's a tough champion. Antoine will scare a lot of guys out there. So
yeah.
Hirioka's
Be,
solid to
be
give him
something.
that kind of work. So
That would be
yeah.
something. It never fall. What's your thoughts about the Russell Hiraoka? And I got brother Terrell here in the building, but want to get Never Fold here real quick if he can about the Russell Hiraoka fight.
It was a good fight. My prediction was, it was gonna be a good fight the first 5, 6 rounds, and then after that, Garcia was gonna start putting it on him. But it turned out to be a better fight than I thought. I thought Andy was gonna get KO'd because he was moving like Bacoli. He just landed like Friday night.
I think it was like
He
either late Wednesday or Thursday.
You sure?
I think it was like Thursday or something because he had to have made the weigh-in or something.
Nah, he wasn't at the weigh-in.
Oh, he wasn't even at the weigh-in.
Nah, I don't even think he was at the last press conference.
Well, the
So
press conference, I don't think he was at then. Yeah, because I had missed all of that since we had this
yeah,
stuff
I
going
think
on
I
here.
think he landed either Thursday or Friday because he wasn't at the weigh-in. Wait, he was at the weigh-in. I'm tripping. The last press conference, he wasn't there. Yeah, so he must have landed Thursday. So I thought he was going out like Bacoli, jet lag. You feel me? But he came out and he was on his stuff. Later rounds, he was picking it up. I don't know if because Gary probably in and out of camps, the fight getting canceled from different cards. You feel me? Because he allowed Andy to pick it up. Even the corners was telling him, like, "Yo, you let him work." Know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? But it was a good fight. My only thing with that fight is Gary A could have did better. I don't know why he kept stepping on the guys because Andy do a lot of things wrong, chin in the air. lead hand down, backhand down. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so Gary A could have put it on him more. He did what he needed to do. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying it was a toss up, this and that. I don't know how it could have been a toss up because it's like I gave Andy round 3. The first 5-6 rounds, I had Gary A. He was doing his thing. He was winning those rounds. So unless people was giving Andy some early rounds, I don't know how Andy could have even had a toss up or a tie in any of that. So, but Andy's one of them guys. No wonder they kept ducking him, giving him step aside money because if they looking at him like he's just one of these overseas type of guys, he ain't fought nobody, this and that. You got another thing coming, and with him, he did not have any amateur fights.
Yeah,
I heard that.
none.
I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't know
that's
if you
wild,
heard
ain't
that.
it?
You heard that source?
I mean, I was like, yo, I heard that during the fight. I was like, man, nah, that's wild, bro.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I also heard it during the fight. And I was like, what? Imagine if he was in the amateurs going to the Olympics and all that. He would have had more time to sharpen his skills. But it was a good fight. Hopefully they run a rematch, not next, cause I've been talking about one fight at 35 and 40, Gary A versus Shakur Stevenson, and I'm actually quite disappointed that Gary A ain't applied pressure after the fight. Yo, Shakur was on Twitter talking about he'll move up to 40, or Gary has said he'll come down to him after the fight. He's in your division. Shakur's talking about fighting everybody except Gary A. He's talking about Asta Ryan, Isak Cruz, everybody else except Gary A. So Gary A gotta chill out with the respectful stuff with Shakur, because Shakur trying to duck him. He gotta apply pressure. He got a belt. That's literally the biggest fight for Gary A. If we ain't talk about a Tank, I don't think Tank will ever fight Gary A. So he need to start applying pressure for Shakur Stevenson and make that fight happen, because that's a fight I don't want to see.
Yeah, but the thing about it was before this fight took place, he had Gary Antuanne Russell that was on through Brunch Boxing, and the thing was that he was talking about. Fortunately for you, Neverfold, he didn't mention Shakur until last on the list. Like he wanted
Mm.
Dalton Smith, then like Africa or whatever, and then Shakur last on the list. So that's going to be interesting to see how that turn shapes up. We got Boxing Academic next, and then we're going to get Terrell Thomas to join in on the conversation. So Boxing Academic, what you got?
My take probably won't be a popular take here. So you said he mentioned Shakur Stevenson last. I'm not going to talk about the fight because to be honest, when it got late, the fact that it was, I don't know, I didn't find the fight as exciting, but part of that could have been because I was like sleepy as well too. And then when Ryan came out, I probably got a like second win, and then I got sleepy again because it was a one-sided fight. But the reason why I also was falling asleep is because of the cyclicalness of the fight. It was a sort of repetitive fight where they would get kind of like locked up, and then, you know, again, I could have been sleepy. Let me just say all that. But the reason why he mentioned Shakur Stevenson last is because it ain't gonna go well for him. And the things that I am noticing as patterns for him is that was the things that his brother was asking him to implement. You remember when we used to relate him to like a Sean Porter ish type fighter who could do certain things like get on the inside and do stuff like that. The thing
I like
is,
this topic. Leave it there. Keep going. We'll come back to that one.
the thing is, he's like a poor man Sean Porter because Sean Porter at least could do the foot movements to get him on the inside to allow him to get them shots off. When when Russell does that, Russell leaves himself open, so open and his ability to like close the distance while also either moving his head or while also blocking, I don't feel like it is where it needs to be. And when he fights Shakur, if he fights Shakur, Shakur will pick him off. I hope it's a good fight, but from what I'm seeing and what he cannot do, like with balance and stuff like that, and now this is not to say that he's not an elite fighter, because outside of the top guys like Shakur and whoever else, he gonna beat them other guys, right? But he might have problems now just seeing where he's at in terms of like him implementing stuff. But there's things that go against like his ability to like let shots off like on both sides. And some of that is like balance. Other things again is like where he need to hold his hands and like muscle memory and stuff like that. Like he don't have his hands up and he just be getting hit clean and stuff. He the way he be getting hit, man, I just you know, I love the Russell family. They, you know, I know you rock with them and stuff. This probably not a positive take. Topic gonna get at me because I see his look. So yeah, go ahead. Go and get me topic.
Hold on.
Nah. I was gonna ask one, why do he hate being compared to Sean Porter?
He
Like
does,
it's like
man. He
it's
does.
like it's like a bad. I seen glimpses last night. I'm gonna keep it 100.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I seen glimpses of like, okay, I see why they say his player comp is Sean Porter. I do see why. Because they like to get in range and inside and rough you up and get working in there. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I didn't really see a lot of Antuanne coming out with his jab and really like stepping with his jab to land it. I seen him flicking the jump to get range so he could get inside and land something tougher. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't really see him like flicking the jab to like get in, get up to score. You know what I'm saying? And that's like Sean Porter. Sean Porter is a guy who wants to get in there and use his athleticism with you, rough you up, flip you in the corner. If he in the corner, flip you. You know what I'm saying?
You don't think that has something to do with Andy? Because with the way Andy was throwing them shots, bro, you let one of them things land. If you don't
Yeah,
got
nah, for
spin,
sure. Now Andy dangerous for sure.
yeah, he's sharp with his punches.
He did start finding success in that basement. He did. You gonna feel those punches. Now, you know what I'm saying? We gonna rock with Twan DMV all day, but Andy did start yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
He did start getting down there.
I'll get into that here in a bit, but we gotta, get our guy, as I said, the resident chef of the Boxing Source, Terrell Thomas, in the building. Though he's been on here for a minute, brother Terrell, man, what's good?
What's up, everybody? Everybody good?
All
What
good.
up? What up?
Yeah. So, JR, give me those scores of Russell fight again. I know it's a unanimous decision, but give me the scores.
Hold on. Let me. I'll have to go ahead and get it real quick. I think like one was like 116, 111.
I thought one was 117, 110 maybe.
117, 110 or something. That
I
was
could be wrong. I thought I heard something like that. One of them.
So it was 117, 110, and then two scores of 116, 111. So they basically gave Gary Antuanne Russell 9 of the 12 rounds for one of those scores, and the other score was like 8 rounds to 4 twice.
Well, I'll say this. So, even with those scores, it definitely reflects what I'm going to say. Thank God for having a conscience to build up equity in your early rounds, right? If he hadn't done that, I could easily see where they would have took this title from him, right? I mean, it was more or less Hiraoka is a strong fighter, and I think it's just a bad style matchup for Russell, right? Just that height, the reach that he commanded. He's a bit. You can actually say he's relentless. He was relentless throughout the fight until when he wanted to go low and get rough like that. But thank God that Russell built up those early rounds with that equity like that, because really going into the championship rounds, I like come on Gary, show us that championship moxie, which I didn't necessarily see. I mean, even those on those exchanges on the ropes, Hiraoka didn't necessarily hit each one, but when you're a judge and you're in the midst of that crowd, the rooting, the cheering, stuff like that, you can get that mixed up if you're not closely watching to see that all some of the punches were actually missing. But it wasn't necessarily a strong look for Gary. Thank God he has the most qualified person in his corner that just really just exuded him. Hey, get your shit together, man. You gonna fuck around and find out real quick. So thank God he has his brothers in his corner to give him that knowledge, that real life, real world experience that he needed. He told him exactly what he needed to hear and how he needs to tell him on top of that. So it's easy. Once again, if Gary didn't build those early rounds, I could easily see where it took this side from him. Easily.
Yeah, man.
And then the low blow too, though, that point deduction on the low blow.
Yeah, and that second low blow, that was. And the ref got into position just on time just to see that. He just moved over to Gary's right shoulder to see that. So the guy saw that, but that was intentional.
Yeah,
Like you say, you gotta get it all the way locked in and get clicking because it's getting sticky. So, like you said, you know what I'm saying? I like what you said with that one. You're gonna find out if not. So,
yeah.
like I said, Antoine's got the talent, man. Just it was a night that left you looking for a little bit more. So, great fight though, man.
Word. I might. Well, I can't. I don't think I could do it here through, at least through the soundboard. But I might have, somebody call in to chip in on the show, man, because he talks boxing here with me and everything like that. But before I'm able to add him on here for a little bit, I want to get on that whole thing with the with the Gary Antuanne Russell and Shawn Porter stuff, right? Because
That's not a bad comp, bro.
Well, I know, but all right, let's see how I could set this up. Okay, you had Gary Antuanne Russell when he fought what it was back at the Barclays Center, right? And we had this fight that was out there, and he fought Rances Barthélemy. And after he had the fight against Rances Barthélemy, there were some people that were starting to say that they were saying like, hey, he has those like little mannerisms or movements, like he's Shawn Porter, right? So fast forward to his next fight that he had there at the MGM National Harbor, here in the DMV area, and he was about to fight Ken Cruz, right? And when we was talking with him, before the fight, I brought up the question or, something like that, right? And I said, there are some people, out there that are, comparing you to Shawn Porter. And he's like, oh, man, nah, man, I ain't nowhere near like a Shawn Porter, right? But it's like you kind of see it in his approach when it comes to his footwork and how he approaches getting to his opponent, is that he'll do that. Because it's not like he'll, start to step in with the jab before getting more within range and then work. He'll just try to get within a close position and then work. Now, he doesn't necessarily like go into shifting and moving and tying people up like that, like Shawn Porter might do, but he'll at least still have that same approach as far as like trying to step in within range. So unless if he like, shifts off or, moves his head around a little bit and throws a jab and mixes things up, yeah, you're going to see a number of fight fans say that, hey, he, has the similarities to Shawn Porter. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. A lot of people look at, him being trained by his brother now with Gary Allen with an A and an Allen with an E, okay? Because there's two Gary Allen Russells that's there in the corner, y'all, okay? So when you see a big, as some people say, Big Gary, that's a Gary Allen Russell. And then, of course, Mr. Gary Russell Jr., that's a, Gary Russell Jr. But he says, I think Russell lost it. Oh, come on, dog. Come on. Stop it. Stop it, Colorado. Stop it. And shout out to my cuz here, live in the building, man. If possible, if you're still listening, call in. Like, or just hit me up. Hit me up direct and then I'll have you on, or like just give me a few minutes, and then I'll link you back on to this joint there. But yeah, but for Gary Antuanne Russell, he gets this defense of the WBA title. It was a mandatory defense, so he doesn't have to worry about mandatory challenges, right? Now, the thing about it is, with the situation that's happened, given the card, of course, you would have had the IBF title on the line in this fight card, but Richard Hitchens, after the second day weigh-in, rehydrating, trying to make it to that 10 pounds, he was able to do that, and that's what it was. So let's see here. I wanted to see if I could get this thing cracking. Hold up. Yo, Boxing Source, what's up? Who it is?
Hello.
Yo, what's happening?
It's this James cousin.
Hey, what's happening? What's happening?
Oh man, James, we got to address the elephant in the room, man.
What it is?
Well, the elephant in the room is this Mayweather coming out of retirement fight.
Oh, come on, man.
Man, we got to address the elephant in the room, bro.
Oh, man.
James said he don't want to waste his breath on it.
Oh, dang. I wanted to talk about it, bro. I was like, oh, my God, this man has lost his damn mind.
Nah.
He has only 3 big fights that he can have, which is Crawford, the Canelo, or the boy Pacquiao. For the type of money he's trying to get.
Yeah.
They announced that. They announced that like all day. Man, as soon as I seen that shit, I call you.
Hey, but you gotta understand something. You guys understand something, cuz when it comes to Floyd Mayweather, right? Hey, listen. It's like I said before. You see, when I'm TBE, there's only big fights that I'm involved with. So if it's got to be Terence Crawford, if it's got to be, Manny Pacquiao again, or, if it's got to be even Canelo Alvarez, I'll cook him. I'm TBE and all that type of stuff, man. You know what I mean?
I'm not under the impression he's not going to sell the fight. He's going to sell the fight. But, bro, why would you risk legacy over a few dollars, bro?
Hey, cuz, I'm going to say it like this. Just like Floyd Mayweather said in the lead up to his fight against Shane Mosley years ago. He said, listen, I'm a prize fighter. That's what I'm supposed to fight for. A prize. That's all it is with Floyd. You know what I mean?
Right. Bro, it's just, to me, it makes no sense unless he's broke.
Now I don't know about all that. I don't necessarily get into his finances like that, right? Now the thing about it is with him, he's supposed to have ownership share of the One Vanderbilt building in New York City. He's supposed to have a settlement or whatever is going on with this lawsuit with Showtime Networks, right? Where he's sued for up to $340 million. So all I know is whatever his liabilities are, if he owes a number of people, I've seen that he's, got sued for not paying for some jewelry and diamonds and all of that. But
here's the thing. I don't want a boy to go in there and get embarrassed like Jake Paul. Like fake Paul. I call him fake Paul.
You call him fake Paul?
Fake Paul.
Hey, look. Hey, don't be surprised whether they had this fight with Mayweather and Tyson, that it could be Mayweather versus Jake Paul.
Remember we discussed that last one?
Yeah.
It was like, bro, that can't happen.
Hey, but this is boxing, man. Anything can happen, bro.
Well, it ain't even boxing no more. It's not, bro. It's not. It's turned to the WWE.
Well, I mean, hey, whatever they say is able to get him the most money. That's what it is sometimes, man.
They need to set that the only fight I'm interested in seeing, and this is the only one, is that boy, if he gonna fight, and it's gonna be a for real fight, I want to see him fight Crawford. That's it.
Now, I mentioned that too. I mentioned that as a possibility, so
that's it.
We'll see. We shall see, cuz.
All right, good love, cuz.
All right, for sure.
Your turn.
No doubt. Yeah, my cousin was, talking about the whole thing with Floyd Mayweather, man, and everything. So, of course, he talked about, coming out of retirement. So we'll see what goes on with all of that too. So wanted to give a shout out to Cuz. It's been watching and everything like that, man. Vice Academic, had the role. They're here in a bit. Shout out to Lance Meyer here on the live chat and everything like that too, man.
Source.
Yo,
man, hey, so man, really, like, the things I want to say is like, I ain't really trying to, you know how I get. So it's like with the Floyd thing, it's like, bro, he was talking all this talk. Cause remember, like, we know him to be a Muhammad Ali hater. Now look what he got going on.
That's the thing, man. It's like a number of people, have been coming up with this talk about him, running out of money or running out of assets and all that type of stuff. And that's, why, he's coming back and fighting. I mean, some people kind of like said that when it came to Manny Pacquiao, when he, ended up fighting Mario Barrios last year.
Yeah, but with Manny actually, if he needs money, it'll be because of him giving away money. We don't know Floyd to be doing. Floyd is just he's just a clown, bro. Cause all the things that he been doing, it's some things I really want to say. Just I don't want to say it on your platform. It's just we know our side of the sport of boxing, the side that he's with, the people that.
There's a couple of things that Floyd Mayweather has been involved with, and how some of the stuff that he said is like, with it being on YouTube.
Hey, you know how I could get, so it's like I'm keeping it cute, bro.
We'll hold off on that, and I guess we'll
keep it boxing.
We might do it on Rumble or something like that, just a Rumble exclusive. We'll try to sort it out like that. How about that? Yeah. All right, so let's get back into this thing here with the that fight card. Talked about the thing there with Gary Antuanne Russell and Andy Hiraoka. I shared the whole thing with Richard Hitchens, who was supposed to be, fighting Oscar Duarte for the IBF super lightweight title, and he ended up getting sick after the second day weigh-in, where he was supposed to, at least be within 150 pounds. So the word was, I guess he made 150, but he just couldn't necessarily make it. But the thing that I found interesting was that I guess there was comments from the trainer of Richard Hitchens saying that, like, they had like a whole thing as far as like him trying to get within weight or try to keep within it, and he got some other talk with what was going on outside of camp. But for me, Richard Hitchens, he basically lost. I feel like he lost big time, right? And this is why. Richard Hitchens was able to become the IBF champion, right? Because he was able to get in against Liam Powell, who defeated Subriel Matias, right? And going by a never fold sports motto, like anybody can get it, right? You had Richard Hitchens before he was the IBF world champion. He was basically the IBF mandatory challenger for some time. But there was a particular fighter out there that held the IBF belt before Liam Powell, right? Okay. And for some reason, Richard Hitchens wouldn't fight Subriel Matias for the belt. So when Subriel Matias had the bout against Liam Powell in Puerto Rico and ended up losing by decision, all of a sudden, Richard Hitchens steps in and challenges Liam Powell. Okay. Gets the win, becomes the champion, has the fight against George Kambosos Jr. Good performance. Pretty good performance here. All right. And see, you know what I'm saying? Duck that wreck, duck that wreck. But okay, he gets the win against Liam Powell, wins the belt, goes up against George Kambosos Jr., gets the stoppage. Now, here's the thing, too, right? After he has that win against George Kambosos Jr., I'm like, looking, this is a 140-pound division. You should be looking to try to unify at 140. No, you weren't going to be facing Subriel Matias. Okay, whatever. You would have had the WBC champion at the time, or whatever it is. Maybe it would have been not Subriel Matias, but it could have been Alberto Puello or anybody, right? or the WBA champion. But at the time, you still had as a WBO champion Teofimo Lopez. Now, Teofimo Lopez and Richard Hitchens are managed by the same guy. And yet, after the fight that Richard Hitchens had against George Kambosos Jr., what were they doing? Oh, they were all pal, buddy. Oh, yeah, we got this belt here, but we ain't gonna face each other. Now, here we are, fast forward. Teofimo Lopez lost his WBO belt. Richard Hitchens couldn't even make it to this bout against Oscar Duarte, and likely he might not even defend the IBF belt because he may end up moving to 147. So that's why I'm saying, like, with this 140-pound division, it's not looking all that hot, man. And it's supposed to be like the deepest division out there. To Neverfold's point some time back, he said, like, this is one of the deepest divisions out there in boxing, and yet we can't get some of these top fighters within 140 to fight each other. Like, that's basically wild right there, because we've been looking for Richard Hitchens versus Gary Antuanne Russell for like the past 6 months. We ain't got it. Richard Hitchens was supposed to be in a position to fight on January 31st against Jermaine Ortiz and ended up getting out of that so he could get into this position here. And remember, he had made that statement of, oh, yeah, he could have been on there for January 31st, but he got a bigger opportunity, which ended up being this particular date of February 21st. And now, here we are, and he wasn't even able to have that fight. So now what? It's absolutely, crazy work. And then, for Oscar Duarte, he would have had the opportunity to fight for a world title. Now he can't fight for that world title. And who knows what's going to happen after this. I don't know if Golden Boy is going to push to, have Duarte fight somebody and get that IBF title vacant or whatever. But, that ended up being a missed opportunity there for Oscar Duarte for him to fight for the IBF super lightweight title. Now, they ducking each other. Neverfold was saying. Now, you did have another super lightweight battle that did take place on the card there when you had Frank Martin going up against Nahir Albright.
So wait, but before you get to that, right?
All right.
So with the what you were talking about with the Richardson Hitchens, we all know Richardson Hitchens doesn't have the record of people should be coming out here, coming to his defense and this and that. He talks a lot. The fights that people want him to fight, he's not taking it. It's a lot of stuff that he does. People don't rock with. My only thing is, in his situation, I seen a lot of hate towards him, which he's one of the reasons why a lot of people hate him, right? But I just don't respect it and I don't like it because people not keeping the same energy with everybody. Cause this guy supposedly fell ill. There's no proof that he did fell ill or not, but we still gotta wait on that, right? Of course, we got his coaches coming out, like you mentioned, saying that it might have been due to weight. He ain't say it, but he was shaking his head, nodding, basically saying, yeah, right? But we don't know if he fell ill or not. We gotta wait on the medical records and all that. So I was paying attention. I'm like, hold on. So Richardson Hitchens fell ill. He was looking drained, right? A lot of people were saying that. I was thinking that too, but I was like, maybe he got 1 or 2 more fights left at 140, then he gotta move up, right? So with that, the problem is I'm looking at like, wait, so a lot of people pushing hate towards him, but they not waiting, they not giving him the benefit of the doubt. And I thought about Carlos Adames. He fell ill. I ain't seen people was pushing hate towards him. Wait, hold up. They actually waited till he came with facts. I seen the factual information that he posted. I'm like, okay, boom. So he wasn't lying. So how come people wasn't willing to or not willing to give Richardson Hitchens that same kind of benefit of the doubt? Let's wait. Let's see the medical records. If you don't come out with no medical records, cook him.
I think it's due to his history. whether some people around them know him or not. I think it's due to his history. There has been some things in reference to Richard Hitchens and given his professional career, right? You know how like fighters are, when they come up, they're under promotional bodies and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Richard Hitchens is basically just under the management of Keith Connolly. Like he don't necessarily have a promoter, or at least I know backing him. Before though, he was with Matchroom, you know, and then before that, he was with Mayweather Promotions. Now, with that news of the thing here with Richard Hitchens, I did speak with somebody that had been familiar with Richard Hitchens in the past, and they told me that seeing something like this is not a surprise to them.
Yeah, not to disrupt you, I'm gonna just say this one thing. I've also heard a story from somebody close in a gym Hitchens be going at. They saying he used to go to the gym selling people hand wraps and all this. Cause I remember hearing that on the internet, but I got a close source, a coach that told me the same thing at his gym that he did. So I don't know. Like you said, the history of Buddy. It's a lot of stuff that he be doing, be suspect.
Mm. Shout out to Smitty in the building. The elephant in the room. He says Africa not getting the benefit of the doubt, but he says shout out to Coach Lenny though. Hey man, like I mean, it's something because he the thing with Richard Hitchens is he's been in a few kind of like notable fights over the past and things like that. Even before he was in a position to fight for a world title. One of the things that I kind of like brought up with him was in his bout against Malik Hawkins, who's from the Baltimore area, was from the Baltimore area back in 2021, and both of those guys were under Mayweather Promotions at the time, and that was like a sink or swim fight, so to speak, for both fighters or whatever it is, or particularly with Malik Hawkins, because that was Malik Hawkins after his stoppage loss to Subriel Matias, right? So they put both of them in there in I don't know if it was like a bad style matchup or whatever, but even with that, you kind of like seeing that Richard Hitchens had the thing where he kind of what I would say have a mentality that he wants to be catered to in a certain way. I'll just try to put it like that. So with him, he was able to eventually have a world championship, but even after that, like he's looking for this, looking for that, having certain purse demands maybe here and there, and it looks like a number of these companies or promotional companies ain't necessarily feeling it.
Yeah.
Topic, you got something here real quick?
Hold up. Let me say
All
this real quick. So what I noticed was with people talking about Richardson Hitchens, I'm seeing a bunch of Duarte fans come out the cut. Where were they at before this? I'm on Twitter asking questions like, can y'all show me betting slip? Y'all betting on Duarte? They hate Hitchens so much they coming out the cut just talking. Cause I'm like, bro, if y'all was here before this, let us hear y'all, right? So my thing is this. I don't see Richard Hitchens ducking a Duarte. Like, what does Duarte got besides him coming forward? So it's like he's like a robot with no skills. Like, you feel me? So I just don't believe that. Yeah, I seen that facial expression, my boy. Like Duarte ain't nothing. Like he don't got nothing but legs and arms. Like, you feel me? He don't got no skills. So
You seen him fight before? What the fight did you see at Duarte's? What was your
bro,
favorite fight
people
of
been
his?
watching Duarte. He lost to Sims his last fight. He got knocked out by Asta Ryan. Like, I watch boxing, bro. So it's like this guy doesn't have no skills. He's just a come forward Mexican fighter, bro. You know what I'm saying? So Duarte is nobody to duck. Now, I'm not coming to Richard Hitchens' defense. He does that. He do got that in his DNA. He might have ducked, but I don't know. I'm just not believing it because of Duarte, his skill set. Like he don't have nothing. So That's what I thought about it. But I just was looking at the fans. Dorothy, this, that. Like, they wasn't talking like that before the Richardson illness, quote unquote.
Yeah. We got to see anything on the update with all that. Topic, you had something on this?
Yeah, it's not a good look for Hitchens to do it the day of maybe fight week, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know if it was that weight where he couldn't hold that weight where he might be too big for that division in actuality. Because that second day IBF weigh in, that could be what it is. I know he said that before, I think with the Paro fight, maybe, where he was saying like he basically was having problems holding that weight comfortably. And he was saying like he ballooned up too high, and his manager basically had to like Keith had to basically like tell him like, no, we need to get a belt so we can have some kind of negotiation leverage type of thing. So he dug to get down to that weight where now, and it's similar to what you were saying, he got a lot of demands now for a guy who just got, broke that championship surface. He got a lot of demands off bat. And who are you? You know what I'm saying? You can't come in here with demands like that, and you ain't really got those credentials to back up those demands. You know what I mean? So you still got to put a little bit more work in and build it up. You are a good fighter. Africa is a great fighter. You know what I'm saying? He's super talented. Like I say, I always reference when I seen him for the first time when he fought Malik Hawkins, the dude Iceman from out here. They both was fighting for basically like a roster spot for TMT. And Shawty and Hawkins was rolling for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, he repping the DMV area. That's when I think Tank had just got signed. So he kind of was like under Tank's like camp, kind of like how AB and them was. And that's back in the day, the band camp type of thing. He was under Tank's camp. He was one of Tank's guys coming out of that Upton gym. So I'm like, okay, cool. He want to fight Hitchens? All right. Hitchens went in there, man. And Hitchens looked like he was meant to be a world champion. You know what I'm saying? So I said, okay, he can fight. He definitely can fight. And who else he fought? He fought a couple solid guys to know that he is quality. So Hitchens can fight, but his demands, I think what he's seeing, because he's getting there late, and some of his peers, like I say, that's in his class, they've probably been there for a little while, where they paid their dues, basically, where they can have demands. He kind of coming in trying to get what they got out the gate, where it's like, I don't know if you are a $8 million fighter. From a logistics standpoint, because we got to think from a promoter's perspective. As a promoter, I got to come out of my pocket for everything. So I know what the fans want, but it takes me. It's like throwing a cookout at the house. And I'm throwing a cookout. I'm inviting everybody over to the cookout. I'm getting all the food. I'm getting this. This is my venue. This is that. I'm booking the artist. We can't have a $50 million overhead, and I'm only going to make. That's why a lot of these fights don't get made from a real promoter's perspective, and Turkey has to, which is cool, but it's also bad, where he's overpaying guys. Where now, like you say, for Hitchens, for example, a guy that's in that bracket where it's like, okay, we can throw you a main event here, we can get the venue for this, and we can still it work out for both of us, where I'm gonna pay you good and I'm gonna still make money. I can't pay you $10 million and you're not gonna generate me $10 million. If I put you at Madison Square Garden headline the big room, are you gonna be able to fill this joint up? You know what I'm saying? If I gotta pay that site fee of $1 million, whatever dollars, can you generate to cover all of that and the security and the lights, and or we gonna have empty seats and we're gonna have to. So your demands gotta match your budget, and that's what I think a lot of is business. And there's a lot of, like I say, the fan side, but then the business side is what holds up. It's a lot of that where sometimes guys might outprice themselves and feel like they worth, and not to say they not, but then you got to step into, like I say, put yourself in the I'm throwing a cookout perspective shoes.
Yeah.
listen, you get one rib. This ain't no take 6 plates and bring all your friends and do all. Nah, it's still rules. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just get willy nilly with it. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, Hitchens is a great fighter. It's not a good look for him to pull out the day of the fight. And Duarte is dangerous. Duarte, it gets sticky in there. I'm not gonna lie to you. Kenneth Sims is a great fighter. It started getting a little sticky in there because Duarte wasn't going nowhere. Sims couldn't keep him off of that. He couldn't keep him off, and the Sims will beat up a lot of guys. That's why I say that he'll beat up a lot. That gives me the confidence to say that Duarte's game, because Sims will beat up a lot of guys. Duarte, I don't think he took a backward step like that, bro. The whole fight, and he's cracking. So if you not on your game, you gonna be on your bicycle for sure. Mm-hmm. He had Ryan on his joint. Ryan just happened to pray and throw that left hook, and it happened to just connect. He do that joke, and that changed the whole fight. But besides that, Ryan might have lost. If that fight would have went the distance, Ryan might have got knocked out. So yeah, it's not a good look, but I do think I seen De La Hoya say that fight's got to be rescheduled like immediately. I want to say, and it'll be interesting to see if Hitchens just vacates that belt and tries to move up or try to pursue, because like I said, Keith is his manager, so Keith is gonna help position him. He's not just gonna be out there blind. Keith will either line him up with a big payday and a potential for like another mega fight somewhere probably or something, but I can see him vacating that belt within the next 1 or 2 fights for sure.
I don't know. It might be even less than that, because
right.
Talking about, like you were saying with previous fights that Richard Hitchens had, that he was having some issues as far as like the rehydration. Then this could be a culmination of it or whatever it is. Never Foles said that he had Richard Hitchens stopping Duarte in the fight, but yeah, it was a good fight, between Sims and Duarte, but they ended up giving Duarte the pick in. Well,
and that was in Sims' hometown.
Yeah, that was in Sims' hometown, but you know what?
But that fight, who was hosting that fight? Golden Boy, right?
You talking about who was the promoter? Is that what you're asking?
Who was hosting the fight? Golden Boy, right? Like, come on. We seen that fight with Tate and
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. Oh man. But all right, well, let's get to this other fight, man. That was one of the key fights on the card. There, Frank Martin versus Nahir.
That joint got sticky too.
Oh man,
that joint got sticky.
This one right here, man. Oh goodness, because and
to make it worse, I seen Frank yapping with Mercado.
Before the fight, he was.
It got sticky in there.
He had a gentleman's agreement with Mercado, right? But here in this particular fight against Nahir Albright, this was like flip back and forth. One fighter looked like he had the advantage. Then the next round, the other one had the advantage. And like in the back half of the fight, it looked like it was a toss up. But then, you just had it to the point where that's rare. It's kind of like rare these days to have all 3 judges basically have it 5 rounds to 5. Every one of them. You know what I mean?
What round did he get hurt? What round did Martin get hurt?
Oh man, damn! I forgot.
Was it probably round 5, maybe, or after?
It was like round 5 or round 6. I forgot where he got like.
Then that's the turning point right there. That's when the judges start seeing it for. That's when they start seeing it for. Right, where Martin had to kind of, like I say, jump back on top and say, "Listen, I'm dictating this space." Because once you get wobbled like that, they looking like, okay, anything that he do touch, we're gonna say he's winning. You gotta definitively respond. That's one of the ways they score it, that generalship. Yeah, once he wobbled you like that, now they looking at him as the ring general.
Man,
you see what I'm saying? So if he got hurt around that point, then all he got to do is enough and not get hurt himself.
When you have it the punch stats have it where they're separated by 5 punches landed. 5 punches landed. That's it. That man, it was just that close, all the way through, man. But you know what the thing was though. After the fight, that was fucked up,
Oh, the
man.
singing.
Oh man, he's like, how do I say goodbye to
Hey man, it's his moment. Hey man,
you know what the worst part is?
he
He
chasing a
actually,
dream.
dog. Now here Albright actually
Do
posted
your thing, Shawty. I ain't mad at you,
he
Epoxy. I
he
got nothing but love for you.
he posted that he was he was singing out in the strip before the fight. He was, you know how they have out there the Las Vegas strip where they had the performance, whether they be doing the drums or they had the mobile karaoke machines and all that type of stuff. Man, I don't know what it was. Was it somebody was singing like the Temptations or whatever it was, and he joined in. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on here, yo? Like, dog, like, listen, I don't know what it is. Hey, y'all know about like with boxing, and you have big events and things like that, and you have the ring entrances and all that type of stuff, right? And you know how some fighters they'll have artists, walk with them to the ring or everything like that.
Bluetooth mode.
Now here, Albright might be the first person to hold a whole concert before he steps in the ring and fights. Like, come on, what are we doing here, yo?
Hey, look, if he keep putting in the work to get on these big stages, we'll
Hey,
give you that. If you keep performing,
hey,
hey,
listen,
these are
he
two top guys he done got draws against. Two top guys that were debatable. I ain't gonna say
now,
Keyshawn, it was a no contest.
he had to win, but it ended up
But
being
he beat his brother though, right?
yeah, he beat
As
Dub.
long as you keep performing and you're backing it up, buddy, live your moment. We'll let you go on this run. If you want to sing on the Vegas Strip before you come out here and try to catch a fade,
Right.
do your thing, Slim. I'm not mad at you, but go out there and catch that fade too, though. Come out here and handle that business. Keep the main thing the main thing, but don't come out here singing on the strip and you get waxed. But if
Yeah,
you gonna run that fade,
that
sure.
would have been ooh,
And Frank Martin is 30 dude. So for him to be able to have that performance, he hurt Frank Martin.
yeah, he
He
did.
hurt him. He hurt Frank. He start touching Frank up. He start putting paws on Frank. He hurt Frank. So that shows that he's a real fighter. He not
And
just
what
no
was
journeyman.
Albright's last fight? How long ago?
What for who?
Albright.
Like two couple. Oh, you talking
Oh,
about Albright?
July.
Yeah.
His last fight was against one of
With
Kelvin.
Kelvin Davis. That was the one where he
That
won.
was around last year's
Yeah, last summer.
summer.
Yeah,
And Frank
Wasn't it
Martin
like
just fought like 2 months ago, didn't he?
December. He fought on December 6th against. Remember, he knocked out Richard
Hey, Wu's a guy now that I'm gonna put in that category where if we want to see if these guys is,
June.
y'all gonna have to come see him.
So wait, are you calling him a gatekeeper?
I mean, he getting draws and he not really losing, so I can't say that. He ain't really losing. He lost his no contest to
So
Keyshawn,
wait,
but they said he pushed him and he beat the brother, so he won. And this is a draw. So
you thought it was a draw, or who you thought won?
I mean, it was a good fight because I'm not just gonna see it as Frank Martin. I see it as red corner and blue corner. I'm gonna judge it differently. I'm not just gonna get caught up in. I'm gonna give the guys a chance to fight. I know that guys that are on B sides coming already down, but I try not to do that, and I try to judge it for what I'm seeing. Like I say, red corner and blue corner. Forget the names. Sometimes I watch a fight with no commentary because sometimes the commentary is very biased and they'll
Hey,
sway
look,
your
look,
mind.
look what you just said. Because I was gonna bring this up
So,
when
like I say, Wu was touching him. He hurt him.
so
He was
look what you
putting paws
just
on
said.
him.
The commentators. If you were listening to the commentators, it seemed they wanted somebody to win. They didn't want Frank Martin to win. They were rooting for Albright. For me, I'm listening to the commentators when Frank doing work. They not saying nothing. Soon as Albright working, they this and that, like they always do. And now I got the zone. That's the worst commentators in boxing. They are horrible.
Hey, some people have said that, whether, They have like the
That's why I like Antonio
surgical.
Tarver though, because he gon' you know what I'm saying, he not just gonna give your favorite fighter and give them the highlights. If another guy, like for example, Lamont Roach, prime example, he can go out there and fight these guys. And they're like, well, no, look at what he's doing. No, give him his credit for what he's doing to make it hard for that. That's why he's not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like Roach, he come out there, fought Pitbull good. Give him his credit for what you're seeing. Don't wait for judge it for with your eyes, not your heart. That's what they say in them judges meetings when I be in there. Judge with your eyes what you see and not with your heart.
And to Neverfold's point in reference to the commentary, like you kind of seen that in the fight between Russell and Hiraoka.
Facts.
Because what was it like? After 4 or 6 rounds, what was it? Sergio Mora was the one that had it even. And I was like, bro, what in the world are you looking at? You know what I'm saying?
You literally have to score every round to get an accurate score, bro.
And Source. Like, the commentator that was doing the play-by-play was saying, like, oh, I think it was like the fans had it like 4-0 Russell. Yep. And the play-by-play had it 4-0 Russell. And then Mora was going to make a comment in comparison to him being like who he is in comparison to the fan and everything like that. I'm like, nah, you sometimes, you kind of like see something and I'm like, ain't no way you're seeing the same thing that we're seeing. Like,
so Source, you was paying attention to Chris Mannix's scorecard on the Andy fight. So many fights on that card. I'm like, bro, what are they even looking at? They trying to sway the judges, sway the fans, because I'm looking at the Andy scoring card. I'm like, okay, the fans is looking at the fight like we looking at the fight. Mm-hmm. But with Chris Mannix and the commentators, oh, it's a tie. I think the guy, they talking about the guy that's losing is up. How?
Yeah, nah. And that's the thing that I have an issue with, and I've kind of said this multiple times in the past, is that when you're there ringside,
way different. Way different. That's why I don't really like to watch fights at home, bro. I don't.
It's even different, even if you're in the arena, right? It's
way different.
If you're floor level, then you're at the 100 or 200 level, because if you're at like 100 or 200
inches and centimeters,
see things that they can't see ringside. So, like with a number of these folks that like be doing these live scoring or whatever it is, Chris Mannix scorecard or all this other scorecards and that type of stuff, they're viewing it from ring level.
What they interpreting.
Where you're looking either even level or you're looking up. So if you're at a certain part, you can't even see what's going on in this corner or this other corner or over there at this other side or anything like that. It's not that much different than a judge that's there ringside. There's some parts in the ring where you're sitting at, you can't see what's going on at one side of the ring if you're a judge. So you're just going out from activity or whatever it is for a lot of cases, because there's other cases where judges just end up, blind score. But outside of that, that whole thing with, like you were saying with Chris Mannix, it was just, absolutely crazy as far as like a number of the fights that were on the card. So, man, I don't understand it. But as far as like that fight here with, Martin and Albright, I say they should run him back, and it kind of throws things off of what I was saying of the fights that happened a few weeks ago. Because remember, you had the results of course, Keyshawn Davis winning and Shakur Stevenson winning, right? But one of the things I was saying from that, right, was for Keyshawn Davis, that he shouldn't be going after no Devin Miles Haney or anything like that. He should be there at 140 pounds and look at that particular fight before the fight happened, that, hey, would you want to either run it back again with Nahir Albright, or if you would want to fight with Frank Martin? Because remember, both Keyshawn Davis and Frank Martin were chopping it up when both of them were at 135 pounds. Now they're at 140. You could have had that as a potential matchup this year, and it would have been a good matchup to have.
Which one you think is easier?
What? Which do I think is easier for?
Which one would you, if you were Keyshawn, which one would you view as an easier opportunity for you?
As an easier
Less challenging. Let me rephrase these words. You got to talk
let's
properly. I'm alive. What's a less challenging, night? Which one is a less challenging night?
small margin. I was saying to hear Albright, mainly because he already had it was supposed to be a win, but you delve into a little thing here and there. Texas don't allow that. So I was saying to hear Albright. You know what I mean? But still, I think there's just so many possibilities at 140 pounds. But as Neverfold be talking about, a lot of these guys don't want to fight each other, it looks like, man. And I don't understand it. When you got so much talent out there in the 140-pound division,
Then that's when this part right here, bro.
come on.
That's why I say Turkey's good because he's making some of them happen, but he's bad because he's not. Like, it's an order, bro. Every boxing is all ranked off of rankings. You can't, like, if you got your top 5 guys, your Haneys, your T.O.s, your Shakurs, and those guys, they can demand that crop because they've proven through putting the work in that we can make a bag from you. Right. So you're worth it. Now, the guys at the lower bottom, just because you got a belt, we try to make money too.
Hey, so
this ain't just all entertainment for y'all. We trying to get a bag too. Who's selling? Who doing numbers? Talk to me. Who? We got to look at all of that. So that's why a lot of the fights don't happen because Turkey overpaying guys.
It's gonna be even more interesting situation. Neverfold. You got something?
Yeah, I got a question for you. So, when y'all was talking about who Frank Martin should fight, I think he need another tune-up because the way he looked last night, if he fight anybody on a higher level than Albright, they can knock him out easy, right? So I think he need another tune-up. Do you think he does too, or should he go on and fight a better fighter or the rematch?
I think it's either a rematch or, as you say, a tune-up. But again, it goes to what we were talking about sometime where we had extended debate about it. Like, are these fighters willing to do that? And the thing about it is that when you have like a lot of these fighters, whether they're champions or contenders or not, it's like they're aiming to have things on some type of television. And you have the zones, right? But then also you had for some time, at least when it was Top Rank, when you had them under ESPN, they had the thing there with ESPN Plus as well, right? So you didn't just necessarily see the people that were there in the main event. You saw every single fight on the card. So you were seeing guys that were 1-0, 3-0, 5-0, going up against guys that are like 1-10. We didn't see that, in boxing in the past. We didn't see that. That was off TV. That was off camera. Even to a certain level, to at least with Topic and myself, we go to these local cards and we're seeing these cards on some type of televised streaming thing or whatever, to where you see every fighter on some type of TV. And the thing is, you don't necessarily have to see that because, yeah, you could have it great, but you could also have a lot of criticism as well. So bringing it back to Frank Martin, he should have like another type of fight where he would have to work on a few things because I'm not really confident that he should be, going against the top contender at this point. This is like his second fight within 140 pounds. We could have been like on the verge of climbing up the rankings there at 140, but this could, kind of like slow things down for him a little bit. Right now,
him and Kenneth Sims
on
the undercard or something like that.
I was just going to mention the thing about Frank Martin, right? Because I think when he won against Rancis Barthélemy, that he had, it was a Continental Americas title. Okay, so they got him a Continental Americas title. He's in the rankings. He's currently there at number 7. Kenneth Sims is there at number 5. So while it could be a good matchup, like, do you think maybe that should be what he's looking for, or what he should go after at this point? Because
He's
I
not a
don't know,
champion,
maybe that was
so
weird matchup for him, whatever it is.
he not like a champion. So I mean, I think that's two good fights for guys that's in that bracket. Two quality guys coming off of crossroad drinks.
Okay.
So I mean, like I said, on the undercard, the winner gets back into that. Let's
Mm.
get it on. You know what I'm saying? You know how this go.
Okay. Hey, Never Fold, you got something here real quick before I give a
Yeah,
shot
so
to
so the other thing for me is, man, dog, Frank Martin got ruined by Tank. Cause before Tank, other than that, damn, I'm forgetting buddy name, bro. That he almost lost it, but he edged it. The buddy that fought Shakur. Man.
R2.
Oh yeah, Artem. Yeah. So before that fight, he was looking good. He went through that. He was supposed to fight Shakur. That fell through because of money. And then he went and fought Tank. But I think from last night, bro, I think Tank ruined him. What y'all think about that?
I think he may have like a little bit of what you would say, tenseness for taking power shots. I think when in that first few rounds that he had against Tank, he was doing. I guess he had like a pretty good, strategy. But it's one thing to do it for a few rounds. You were trying to do it like you would attempt to do it for the full 12 against Tank, and Tank wasn't going to allow that. And the instant that Frank started to slow down his foot movement, he was cooked. You know what I mean? But then you kind of like seen his performance there against Rancis Barthélemy. But again, it's Rancis Barthélemy to me. I think that
That's why I
kind of
say
like,
Sims is the guy that let me know. We need another guy to see where you at.
yeah,
Bartholomew is a get back fight after getting knocked out and being out the ring. That's a get back fight. This
right.
right here clearly was a tough one. Let's see Sims.
So
Hey,
technically,
brother Terrell, you still on with us?
Yes, boss.
Hey, did you check out this thing here with Nahir and Frank Martin, man? What did you think of anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to 135 with Frank the Ghost Martin for his loss against Tank. Right. It seems like to me, ever since that loss, he has slowly lost that aura that he had. Right. He's a prior to the Tank fight. He definitely established himself on the scene at 135. Good solid wins, and definitely had that mystique with him, going with him. Jump up to this fight with Nahir Albright. As usual, a lot of shit talking in the face off, chest bumping, all that other stuff and everything. And he had me convinced. I thought he's gonna break this guy down and show him a true boxing lesson, right? But then that's why they fight the fights, right?
Fight broke out.
And Nahir Albright, and certainly himself, has a chip on his shoulder ever since the incident with the Keyshawn Davis camp, all those stuff and stuff like that. He has a chip on his shoulder too, right? And rightfully so. So everybody's just like we always say, this is prize fighting. So not only fighting for your purse, but for your position in your weight class like that too. So that's your prize too. Mm. So, but I mean, he just once again he had a rough style against Frank Martin, who's known as a nice, smooth, clean fighter in that regard. But each fight is not gonna be like that, right? Yeah. And here Albright he's just rough and just kind of like you said, you are in the sense with Hiraoka, just kind of relentless in that regard. Just kept coming forward, and then even when Frank Martin got hurt, I was surprised. That was like just around the fifth, sixth round. Even late in the fight, he got hurt too again. I was like, whoa. So I think you guys, you're on point with said his next fight probably gets more of a tune-up. Me personally, I'm not gonna rematch him. Same reason I don't think Gary Russell should rematch that guy either. That's just not a good look, not a good style for either fighter. So I'll just move on, take the draw. I'm good. Yeah, and sometimes it's like that in boxing. You have to acknowledge that within yourself and your camp.
Yeah.
Right. All right, but got Gorgio here has these rankings here at 140. He got Shakur, then Hitchens, Dalton Smith, Antoine, Keyshawn, Tio, Puyo, Hiraoka, Matias, Sandro Martin, then Oscar Duarte, and Landolfo Delgado. Hey, that's like a lot. That's a lot there, man. Not even the top, not the top 10, but the top 12 there for 140 pounds. Okay, you got Shakur Stevenson there, as the the top guy getting the WBO and Ring Magazine belt, and then you got the world champions after that. Then you got Keyshawn, and then former champ Tio and former champ Puyo there, and Matias there at number 9. So interesting rankings there at 140. But you see that like there's a lot of guys there. That was 12 guys, and you didn't mention Kenneth Sims. You didn't mention Jermaine Ortiz. A few other fighters that's out there, or Nahir Albright, potentially out there. So
And that's what I'm gonna say, bro. Styles make fights because there's so many guys that the common people might not see on TV and know,
mhm.
but they'll come over here and they'll be like a Nair Albright where, oh, this guy's pretty decent. Or they'll be like a Andy Hiraoka where it's like, okay, this guy's he
Yeah,
can do this.
yeah.
So there's so many guys, like I say, Duates and Sims and guys that I want to see if you can get past this guy. Hey, because these guys are tough. You feel what I'm saying? So you need those. That's why I say Frank Martin is at that point where I'm looking to see, all right, Frank, what we doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Are we going to start dumping more bag behind you, get you a shot, or where you at, baby? We gotta see. So we didn't get you a tune up with Bartholomew. This was supposed to be another step up from a tune up before we start throwing you to these contenders. You know what I'm saying? But a loss and a draw, and what was the last 3? A loss, KO loss, Bartholomew like 40, ain't he?
Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much.
He close to 40, and he like been inactive or no? He been fighting like
Nah, he been
consistent, not
inactive.
one fight.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was active, man.
So he supposed to come out and
1 fight a year, basically.
touch him and steamroll through him. But Nair is a young prime guy. Like I said, there's a guy out there like who? Give me another guy, JR. That's in that top 20. I'm gonna say top 20. There's not just a big name that could give Frank Martin a decent.
Sandor.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll give a lot of these guys a lot. It's a lot of guys, bro. I want to see them.
Actually, that would
see these guys mix up and fight.
Be the perfect one, but that could be a just like Albright. The thing was,
I want to see Shakur fight Sandor. Matter of fact, Styles make fights. 2 guys like that. I want to see 2 guys. I want to see Shakur go hunt them. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him go hunting, not going back and because Sandor gonna do the same thing. It's gonna be like a mirror. And Sandor, you know what I'm saying? I want to see that fight.
Ortiz not in the pick right now. He just coming off a knockout loss,
he
bro.
coming off that stoppage loss, man, and it's like
Who, Sandor Martin?
No, Ortiz, Jermaine.
And
Oh, nah.
Said he had against Keyshawn, man. And y'all seen what I was saying after that, because I was disappointed. Of course, because we had the conversation with Jermaine Ortiz, and he's like, getting in there, getting ready for the fight. And yeah, I mean, it's been a few weeks, and I said that even after that, even from that interview, I just didn't get that energy from Jermaine Ortiz like he was gonna really give Keyshawn problems. I just didn't. I didn't. And especially when it's a high-profile matchup like that, being in Madison Square Garden, you're gonna have to have something going for him. He says, Gorgio says, Ortiz still top 20. Yeah, but it's still outside of your top 12 or whatever it is there, man. All right. So that's kind of, of course, extended talk of what went on there in Las Vegas. We still had like a lot of action that was like in the Washington, D.C. area. Shout out to Never Fold, man. I couldn't, get with you as far as like the thing with that Jeter Promotions, but just
Yeah.
being honest with y'all, man, I was not going to touch the Jeter Promotions card. Just, something between myself and Jeter and, other people, have kind of like the same sentiments of sorts there. You know what I mean? And that reminds me, I still have a scheduled interview coming up on Tuesday with a fighter that was supposed to be involved in that Jeter Promotions card. So that is coming up. You did, have the thing there with, Mike Fox being able to win against Ray Robinson. You did have, Scooter Davis with a second round knockout win there. Topic, were you able to make it out there?
Nah, I had to work the Golden Gloves that night, so unfortunately I couldn't make it out there. I think I seen a couple highlights of a couple of the guys fighting. No, I checked Blue Corner. I tried to check Blue Corner. Blue Corner, I think to me one of the top guys. I'm gonna pay homage. Shout out to Blue Corner. All those
photo. Yep.
He gonna give you a good depiction. If you weren't there, he gonna give you a good depiction of these local cards. So Blue Corner, I just watched what he put up. His interpretations of it. No, was he there? He was there, I think, right?
I'm not sure. I hadn't like checked out his.
I think Blue Corner. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
But, like I said, you did have the thing there with Scooter Davis. You had, Mike Fox getting the win over Ray Robinson. You did have Sheed Smith also, getting the
win. It was a nice lineup. It was a nice lineup.
You know what I mean?
You got to do Big Meats, Demetrius Ballard, who used to be signed with Golden Boy. Yeah. I think he fought Munguia, right? He fought Munguia, didn't he?
Well, who?
Demetrius Ballard. I think he fought Jaime Munguia.
Yeah, he did.
And somebody else he fought. But he looked like he's trying to get back and getting into a run. So he might possibly be a guy that can so it was, like I said, it was a decent, if you are a boxing purist of guys, I didn't see his performance to see if he ready for a run. But like I say, Lil Scooter, Mike Fox, Big Meat. Another decent card,
So the whole card wasn't on on TV because I had hit up Source. I was trying to catch Scooter and I was waiting.
Not them joints. You ain't gonna see those joints on TV.
Nah, not on no TV.
Hey, Blue Corner, the closest thing.
Yeah, like I
He'll
said,
give you pictures and a breakdown. If you wasn't there, the Blue Corner on IG.
Let's see, like we got Josiah Giles with the win, Tyler Langer with the win. Ezra Turner had a draw in his fight. Like I had seen that, last night, right?
Yeah.
But you had that too. Nasheed Smith with the early.
The guy Langer's pretty decent actually too. I've seen him fight. He's pretty decent.
Yeah, you don't necessarily see that on TV. They did have the Davis Promotions card on KA Sports.
How was that main event? Get to that main event. I need to know what's up with that Chris Glenn and the other guy. How was that fight?
It was an okay fight. The thing was with Chris Glenn, at least for me coming into it, he is there undefeated, going up against Eric Rosado. But that was the thing though. Eric Rosado came in there with 4 losses in his past 6 fights. But I think it was like his height and the power, behind him, kind of like gave Chris Glenn a little bit of fits. And then when it got to the 6th round, it was really close. And then Chris Glenn got caught with a flurry and ended up going down to the canvas. And at least for me, him going down to the canvas and it going the full 8 rounds, that knockdown was the difference in the fight. And 2 of the judges' scorecards had it like what it would be 74-73 in favor of Rosado. But, another scorecard had it more in favor of Rosado. But I just felt like that knockdown was the difference in the entire fight.
What kind of knockdown was it? A flash one or was it a he
It was,
earned it.
it was like
He set it up.
he was done. He's done.
Oh,
Chris Glenn, and then had him, backing up in the ropes and everything like that. But his equilibrium just couldn't. He couldn't get his equilibrium enough for him to like stay upright, and then he just went down to the canvas. But it wasn't like he was like he with a big shot and he went down. No, so.
yo, Source. Not to interrupt you, bro. I'm seeing this. I'm gonna send you the clip. I don't know if you're gonna be able to watch it on your phone right now, but it's crazy. I ain't gonna say too much. I'm gonna send it to you and see if you wanna talk about it real quick. I ain't never seen nothing
Yeah,
like that.
and I'll just keep talking about this thing here with Chris Glenn and Eric Rosado, because that was a close fight, and the co-feature that included Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw against Michael Lee. That was another close fight. You know what I'm saying?
How many
So
rounds was both of those? 10 or 8? 10 and 8 one.
10 and 8. The Glenn Rosado was 8. The Outlaw versus Michael Lee was 10. Because it was for the NABA welterweight championship with Greg Outlaw and Mike Lee, and I kind of felt like it would be a pretty good fight, and it was a good scrap. And Mike Lee had stuff that he was cracking. I'm gonna just say that he was cracking. He was cracking.
Hey, I'm trying. Yeah, I was good. Like, I'm excited. I want to see some highlights or something.
Yeah,
I want to see some highlights.
I gotta look up what they have for KA Sports, but I don't
So
know.
that one went the distance. Outlaw went the distance.
Yeah, both of them went the distance.
What was the score on that scorecard? Unanimous, majority split.
Unanimous for both. The thing with Outlaw and Michael Lee, though, I felt like it was a close fight. It was unanimous. They did have 2 scores for Outlaw that was close, but then one was like he won all but one of the rounds, and that one, and our guy Henry Discombobulating Jones, when he read the last scorecard, and that was like in favor of Greg Outlaw, but when they had the score be that wide, it was like Mike Lee already knew that it was going to be in the favor of Greg Outlaw. So that was the thing about that there, right? Let's see here, man. I'm trying to see if they had it around or something like that. No, I can't even see it. Yeah, I guess it was live or something like that. Yeah. The KA Sports is like a pay-per-view type thing or whatever it was. So that they had that David Spicer Promotions card on the KA Sports. I'm gonna see here if I could join.
What kind of fight was it? Was it like a back and forth, get it popping fight, or was it slow, calculated shots, or was it slow?
Oh, damn. No, I was just seeing the joint that Never Fold.
Yo,
like shit.
crazy, right?
Damn,
Source.
bro. Hold on, where's this joint at? That was
Yeah.
on the. That was on the. That was a co-feature bout. Oh shit. Yo, damn.
Yeah, that was
Now what
versus
Never Fold
Teeth.
shared was we got the joint going on right now for Salida Promotions, of course, with the Clarissa Seals and Franchon Cruz, but you got the co-feature about Teeth Overton there versus Joseph George, and they just showed like Joseph George like in the corner, and he went down, sat down in the corner, and after a couple seconds he just fell right to the canvas, like boom. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn.
Yeah, when I seen that, I'm like, yo, I ain't never seen nobody's go in the corner, sit on a stool, and then pass out.
And pass out, bro. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe.
Hopefully,
But I mean, it's boxing. I might have seen something like that. I don't know. Like during the fight, but I can't like recall it. But yeah, that's real scary there for Joseph George, man. Damn. You know what I mean? But I was gonna talk about the main event on there, there real quick. But yeah, the stuff that was going on for that David Spicer Promotions, like you did have Stephon Hops that was able to get a win. Keith Saunders got a first round knockout, man. That Like he knocked him almost like clean out, like he like flatline. But I was like there ringside during that fight, and when Keith Saunders like knocked out dude's mouthpiece, I was like, uh-oh. And then
Is he on the contenders list? I mean, the prospect list.
well,
What you think?
he's on prospect list, but that's like his third pro fight. He had the fight on the Jeter card there in November, and this was like the fight after
I'm
that.
saying, do you see the quality? Like, do you when you watch it, do you
Yeah,
say, yeah,
yeah,
he's
yeah. So
he's
we gotta
serious.
see, how coach out there will do with Keith Saunders. We has like a full team out there. With shout out Andrew Council. He got Keith Saunders. He got Whit Myers. He got like I said, body snatcher. He got Trayvon Marshall. So
That's why them guys is quality guys. They can just spar each other, bro.
yeah.
In-house, good work with all them guys right there.
Mhm.
That's as sharp work as you could get in-house right there.
Yeah. So you had all of the, like I said, there was a lot to catch up with. There just within those two cards here in the DC area, and then I still hadn't counted. They had even some fights over in freaking Atlantic City last night too. So very busy weekend there. But I'm gonna kind of like close out this here because I might end up having like an overtime show maybe tomorrow or something to kind of like talk about what's happening tonight. But before this fight takes place, I gotta say I haven't seen something like this in any type of a fight of this magnitude for some time. This rematch between Clarissa Shields and Franchon Cruz-Dezurn.
Nasty work. Yo, they've been tweeting
Oh,
for like
hold on. Say that again, please.
nasty work.
Absolute nasty work. You initially. Okay, you have these two fighters that had their pro debuts together, okay, against each other. They've had of course, the history in the past there being part of the USA team. They've been able to have accolades, whether it's within the super middleweight division, heavyweight division, or whatever. You get to the point there, and of course, Topic knows, and I know, of Franchon Cruz, okay? Going to current, she's able to become the unified champion. She did have a win there over Shadeja Green. She's a unified champion there, super middleweight. She eventually signs a deal with Salida Promotions. And when she signed this deal with Salida Promotions, the intent was for her to have that rematch with Clarissa Shields. But then up to a certain point when Clarissa Shields had her last fight in the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit against Laney Daniels, what happened immediately after that fight? Clarissa Shields announces that she's a free agent. So going from what Franchon is looking at, she's out there, she's going in, she's there at Little Caesars Arena last July, watching Clarissa Shields against Laney Daniels, thinking, okay, I've done what I had to do, put myself in position to have this rematch. I'm here. And looks like, after her having that win, that we're going to have it next. And then you all of a sudden hear that Clarissa Shields is a free agent. So that like crushed her, so to speak. Then you fast forward, okay, Clarissa Shields gets a new deal back with Salida Promotions. Okay. They set up this fight. They agree to everything. Then all of the stuff that's leading into this fight, the build up, talk about it, it's almost like she's just an opponent. They talk about the person on the Detroit news station, like dismissing Franchon Cruz. You have all of this stuff as far as like disrespect towards Franchon leading into this fight, whether it's from Clarissa Shields or to a certain extent from the promotion. Then we get into fight week. Now, the whole thing that happened with the weigh-in, that was just a culmination of all the stuff that's been going on, and then lo and behold, it's like, wait a minute, this is part included into some type of reality show. What?
WWE.
What? Like when I saw that, I was like, I couldn't believe it.
I thought it was AI at first. I'm like, ain't no way.
Yeah, but the stuff that happened in the weigh-in with Clarissa pushing French on and people that were there in attendance, so to speak, that were talking and John and all that stuff, and then Glenn Dezurn getting involved with the entourage or the crowd or whatever, and having that big old fight. It reminded me of like that one time when Clarissa had a fight that was in the Detroit area with an opponent, and one of her relatives stuck the head trainer of that opponent and then ran off. I'm like, come on, man. This is unprofessional. That's why I was like, I just didn't have a good feeling about this fight because it just seemed unprofessional. And going into like this morning, it seemed like Franchon Cruz, had an injury to, her knee and her ankle because of what was going on yesterday. So I was like, man, with all that stuff that happened, I would have been like, nah. I would have been like,
Fights off.
Fight. Yeah, fights off. I would have said fights off. Like I wouldn't have gone through with it. Topic. What can you say about this? Because I was just I'm to be honest with you, I just want to turn myself off of the whole thing, to be honest with you.
It was a good fight build up, I guess. And now it's time to fight because now we're talking about it and we're interested, and I'm gonna go tune in. So everything's gonna be settled right here very momentarily. I hope nobody was seriously injured, and now it's time to fight.
So to piggyback on what you said, like the promo was good, but they did too much, bro. It looked fake. WWE reality TV show. They on the internet every second of the day tweeting, bro. Literally an hour ago, they were on Twitter going back and forth, bro. At that point, a lot of people probably ain't even watched the fight, cause
I'm ready to watch it right now.
but look, Cruz apparently she's hurt. She's going on with the fight because she wants to. I'm hearing ankle, knee, all type of stuff.
Yeah.
And they actually reported this morning that the fight is still on. Like last night and when the stuff happened, the aftermath, they were saying that the fight might not take place. So this is why sources feeling how you feeling, because bro, it's just too much. They didn't need to do all this, bro.
Don't. And we had we could have had at least one person out from this area that could have been out there, but they didn't make it. But shout out to our guys there live with Light Skin Lou. He's up there in Detroit because he said he would be out there for Franchon, and he was there at the weigh-in when all of that stuff went down. Him and his wife was out there with all of that craziness went on, and I'm like, for me, like there's some things like you could do for build up for fights, but like the way that this is going on, it just isn't. I don't think it should go this way. Whatever happens in the fight, whatever happens after it's done, I just don't like how it's presented, because you got somebody in Clarissa Shields that is supposed to be having this lucrative deal, being the flagship bearer of sorts within women's boxing, supposed to be like the spokesperson of women's boxing, right? And we all know like how a number of fight fans or boxing fans feel about Clarissa Shields.
Yep. Right? She gets a lot of hate.
Yeah. So how would I say this? It's one thing if you were, like they say in wrestling or whatever it is, since you mentioned WWE, if you were like a villain, right? But in the same token, right? It's almost like you're trying to play both sides.
Right.
You're trying to play the face, you're trying to play the heel. Which one are you?
A lot of people be saying that about Clarissa. One time she's playing victim, next time she's acting crazy. So
either you're the face or you're the heel. It's not, no two ways about it. Like we talk about Floyd Mayweather, for him to be who he was able to become. He basically played the heel. He didn't go two ways about it or anything like that. No, he played the heel role. But in this case with Clarissa Shields, it's like you're trying to play both sides. And listen, I don't talk about what happens outside of the ring. And some of y'all already know about what that means. I don't talk about what happens outside the ring. That shouldn't factor in to what's going on in the ring leading into these fights. There's a certain way that you conduct yourself as a professional fighter when you have professional business in the game of boxing. So that's why I'm like, I just feel like this whole thing was done all wrong. And regardless of the result of this fight going forward, I don't know how people are going to, receive this or react to this, from this point forward, regardless of what her direction is going to be, who she's going to fight, who Clarissa is going to fight next, or whatever. Like, it's just not I just don't have a good feeling about it. So
you know what you saying that, bro? If I wasn't a supporter of the sport of boxing, bro, this specific fight I wouldn't be watching it after I seen what I seen, cause bro, it's looking like World Star WWE reality TV show. Yeah, I'm not supporting this, bro. Too much, bro. Tweeting 24/7, bro. Literally, the fight is about to go on in minutes from now. They were
minutes from now,
tweeting an hour ago. That's nasty work, bro.
like, and that's the thing about it was that I see this whole thing here with French on and all of this stuff, and some of the stuff I like retweeted and everything like that and stuff like, and I'm like, come on, man. Oh man, yeah. So it's just crazy, and like you said, it's like they went back and forth, you know. So what up until like what? Well, you had like the last thing was like what 2 in the morning when it came to the whole little
I seen that.
thing,
You know what
right?
I was like? I
Yeah,
was like, bro, wait, hold up. They're not in the West Coast. It's literally 2 in the morning. They're still tweeting. I'm like, they got to fight today.
yeah. I was like,
I thought I was the only one that noticed. I'm glad you brought that up, bro. Crazy.
like you said, nasty work. You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll see here. It looks like it's gonna be on in a few minutes if it's not on right now. That's how I got here. Pack show almost went 3 hours here. Shout out to everyone that's able to listen live, watch live, all that type of stuff. You had my guy Never Fold Sports in the building. You had the chef Terrell Thomas in the building. You had the box academic in the building. You had the topic in the building here. To talk boxing. Shout out to my cuz. My cousin was able to call in and talk about Floyd Mayweather for a little bit. So very packed show. I do have interviews scheduled here for tomorrow and Tuesday. One, well, I don't know if, one is going to be live. I'm going to try to have one live, but then the other one is, going to be, with one of the fighters because we still have a lot more action to, come up because February 28th, we got a lot of action that's going down. We should also have something for Pro Box too. So we got all of that's coming up. So boxing, it's like we don't really have that many days off. You know what I'm saying? We don't really have that many days off. So we got Pro Box on Friday night. Okay. You're gonna have Ed Vasquez versus Grimardi Machuga and Ruben Aguilar versus Luis Lopez. And we plan on having Edward Vasquez on for an interview scheduled for tomorrow. So we're going to talk with him before he has that fight on Pro Box. G5 Jeff in the building here before we close out. But it's going to be a very busy week here for the Boxing Source. Again, thank everyone for listening live here. Shout out to everyone that was able to chime in on this show. We'll get back at it with the midweek report, but yeah, it's been a whole lot that we've talked about. And like I said, there's still probably stuff that I ain't even mentioned. Like for example, Lee Wood versus Josh Warrington. So I'll be able to talk about some of that here on the channel, YouTube channel, or Rumble, or whatever it is.
Hey,
So
Source, before you go, right, do you notice in boxing they love spamming news at the same time? Notice this weekend, Benavidez Zerto. There was so
overload.
much things going on. I'm
Oh,
like, bro,
okay,
why do they
okay,
do this in boxing? They wait when
yeah,
stuff is hot, then
okay.
spam the world of boxing. I
Well,
hate that, bro.
okay. That's you know, okay. That's one thing that I get why they're doing it, but at the same time, it's like when you're a media member or something like that, you can't necessarily cover every single thing or be there or whatever it is, right? If it's something that's in relation to the events that are going on, I could understand it. But if it's like way like not really involved with it, then it's like you're just saying, "Hey, we'll get whoever we can in order to show up, for it." Now you talked about the thing there with Benavidez versus Zerto Ramirez. I mean, that's understandable at that time because remember you're having this event here with Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia that's involving fighters from TGB Promotions and from Golden Boy Promotions. So yeah, they're gonna have that. I've seen it happen before. But if you're not necessarily involved in the fight card and you have something where you're trying to like get attention for like a fighter doing something or whatever it is, then it's like you're just stretching out, what's going on during the fight week. So
Because Source, with the reason why I have a problem with that is this, right? Because when boxing is hot, it's hot. When boxing is dead, you don't hear nothing for like a month, weeks. It's like, bro, spread it out. We don't need to be having 20 fights on January the 31st. Why? Spread it out like a TV deal or something, bro. Make it interesting so that way boxing lasts for the whole year, bro. I be hating that stuff, bro.
yeah, and to that point, like I mentioned with what happened this weekend, you have two fight cards within the area at the same time. Like to me, that bothers me because it's
Yeah,
like you don't give either you don't give these fighters the attention that they would
facts.
really need, and you're not giving yourself the opportunity to make the most money off of it. So
Cause look, with the two most important type of people in the game, it don't work for like you, media guy. You can't cover 20 million fights. The
listen,
fighters ain't gonna get they look.
hey, I'll put it like this: I'm not a fight hub. I'm not a fight hype. I'm not anything like that. Now, do I have the ability to do something like that? Yeah, but like for example, I could have assigned out to do something because you've been on here. You chopped it up with us. You done some things here, but if it's like something where a whole lot of things are going on at the same time, like I can't be sending out people like I said, I don't have the resources to do that.
Even if you did, boxing does not support people that cover the sport enough for you to even think about it. Because if you was investing and then recouping later on in boxing, you invest today, these same people that was pushing you to invest, they gonna be the same ones clowning you. Look at you dumb, you shouldn't have did this, you shouldn't have did that. So in boxing you gotta move smart because yeah,
Yeah, it is something because you will want to at least with what I've been doing. Like as you said, it's almost like boxing doesn't like give back to it because I'm doing it
I,
for
I
sport.
I pay attention to the to
I'm
the
not
people
I'm
that
not doing it
support.
for like
Yeah, like you're
okay.
not.
This is gonna come out as
I'm
a
already knowing what you're saying. It's you
as a
doing it for
jab.
the
This is
for
this
the
is gonna come
sport.
out as a jab to some folks, right?
You doing it
But
for the sport, bro. It's
I'm
plain and
doing it
simple.
for the sport. I'm not doing it for me.
Listen, if you
I,
was
let's say,
doing
hold
boxing,
on.
listen. If a lot of like the people that cover the sport of boxing relentlessly, If they were doing this because they love the sport, they would have been stopped doing it, because you don't gain what you putting in boxing, bro.
Mhm.
Facts.
So I mean, listen, I'll continue to contribute to the sport because of the people that I've run into, work with, and been connected to. You know, it's just that I'm not doing it for self promotion, self glory, that type of thing. No, I just don't do it that way. So we'll see how things go. Let's see if we can catch up with what's going on over in Detroit. Shout out again to Neverfold, Brother Terrell, the Boxing Academic, the topic, able to join in here. It's the Boxing Source Podcast, and that's all for me. Until next time, folks, I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.